Hey guys, so before you jump into the reaction, I wanted to put this insert at the beginning to kind of let you guys know and inform you on something that was brought to my attention in the last week and something that a few of you have mentioned to me. So for those of you who don't know, I did a reaction video last month to the Red vs. Blue Season 8 and 9 soundtrack. It was an hour and 40-minute video that over the course of the last month has garnered about 9,000 views, over 200 comments. A bunch of people were able to watch and engage with that over the last month that I posted it. Well, there were some people that were mentioning that that video is not on my channel, they can't find it, and when they do find it, they can't access it. Apparently, for some unbeknownst reason, that video has been shadow blocked on my channel, which means you cannot search it on YouTube, you can't find it on my channel, and it's almost as if it doesn't exist on the platform. I can see it because I am the channel owner, but there are some people who wanted to kind of check out that video in their spare time because it was a really lengthy video, and there's no way for me to revive it. And the weird thing about it too is I even talked to YouTube about it, and I told them that the video gets claimed because typically when I do reactions to soundtracks, primarily with Ruby, the videos get claimed by the copyright owner, but they allow the video to run on my channel, but they play ads on it, so they generate revenue from my video. This one was very similar. It got claimed for every song that was on the soundtrack, for all the songs that I listened to, but there was supposed to be no viewing restrictions, and it actually still says that on my channel that there are no viewing restrictions. However, YouTube has told me that the claimant has blocked the video, even though my information says otherwise. So if you're one of those people who was not able to listen to or not able to check out the video when it was initially posted, I will leave a link in the description where you can do so. It's the entire video, and if you want, you can watch it there and then come back to this video and leave comments on anything that you want to mention or address if you were not able to check that out when I posted it. I still have the video up on my channel. It's just no one else but me can see it. So I do appreciate those of you who did engage with that video, who watched it, who left your comments and, supported it when it was out. And for those of you, like I said, if you guys weren't able to check it out when you wanted to, or it was something that you were planning on but you couldn't, the link in the description will be accessible to anybody who clicks on it, and it should be able to give you the video in its entirety. But ultimately, I just wanted to make that address. I will mention this again when I get around to doing the Season 10 reaction soundtrack, because that's something that I want to do, but I might have to do a similar format. But overall, thank you guys for hearing me out, and enjoy the video. Hey guys, what's up? MurderofBirds here. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome as we continue to catch up with Season 10 of Red vs. Blue. This is, I believe, my third batch reactions. We're going to be watching another 3 episodes today with episodes 8, 9, and 10. I just finished doing my thoughts, theories, speculations, predictions, expectations video, at least the latter half of the video for episodes 5 to 7. That video is going to be like 3 hours long because I did a lot of homework, a lot of research. Obviously, by the time that this is up, at least on YouTube, by the time this is up, you guys will have hopefully already seen that, at least for early access. I'm still working. After this, I'm going to be jumping right into editing both this video and that one, so hopefully it'll be up within the next couple of hours overall. But I literally think episode 5 to 7 was one of the best, like hands down, one of the best batches that I've ever seen of RVB, mostly for the payoffs that we got. That batch of episodes had me going back to seasons 9, season 7, season 6. It had me going back so much for reinforcement of what we got in that, to kind of see if it played out in the past and the present. Like this dynamic going back and forth of what we're getting right now with Project Freelancers already existed, it's already happened, but it enriches what we've already gotten and what we've already seen so far with, season 6 and beyond. So I've had a blast going back and rewatching things, kind of reinforcing my ideas in that regard. The lore, especially learning about like the AI theory, the meta stability, getting the inklings, getting the introductions of like Theta. Oh my god, Theta. I think I love Theta, with the exception of Alpha, because he's a subset of Church and of Epsilon, and the director, who's my favorite character. That Church, not Leonard Church. But I think Theta is my favorite individual AI, with the exception of Epsilon. He is precious, he's youthful, he's young, he's doing the best he can, and he's a precious cinnamon roll that needs to be protected. I did not think that AI could be kind of childlike. He's basically a kid, and I loved the dynamic. I loved his test, how he works with the bubble shield, and how they basically the concept of his trust kind of shows itself with him and North having an immense amount of trust with each other. It was great seeing his introduction, Sigma's introduction. By the way, I know a lot of people were probably triggered by the fact that I didn't know that he was voiced by Elijah Wood. Spoiler alert right now, I've never seen Lord of the Rings. I actually don't know what Elijah Wood sounds like. That's the first time I've actually ever heard him talk, but getting Sigma's introduction, seeing his creative ambition, the inkling of what becomes the meta, going after the meta stability, the meta stage, basically converting Maine into like his vessel more than his partner. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be apparent as we get further and further into these episodes if we see more of Sigma. And towards the end of the episode, they're kind of putting pieces together, asking questions about the Alpha, his construct, how these other fragments are created in particular, and I think that's eventually going to lead up to the inevitable Alpha break-in attempt by the other freelancers led by Tex. But goddamn, I think this episode, I don't know if they're going to get right into it, but this episode seems like it's going to be set up off of what last episode gave us, with getting the memo by the Oversight Subcommittee Chairman that technology, some equipment is missing. I'm pretty sure that that's going to be CT's armor. I had a theory based on that in the first batch of Season 10, that her armor was somewhat important. The director re-mentions it here, that re-mentions it to Carolina that, you know, the armor is important. We can't let it fall into the wrong hands. So it seems like Wyoming, that blue freelancer, Carolina, and some others are going to cut the head off of the enemy once and for all. They're going to deal with the insurrectionists and CT, and we might get a battle of former comrades, which is... I don't know what to expect. There's going to be a lot of vendetta going on around with the previous guys who were fighting them on the highway scene, with Maine, with Washington, you know, maybe confronting CT before their inevitable falling out. And, you know, I don't know how things are going to fare, but I'm very excited. But overall, I want to just say, again, thank you guys very much for the support of my RVB Season 10 reactions. I hope you guys have enjoyed the reactions just as much as the discussions that I do after the fact. I can only imagine how long this video is going to be post-reaction as well, with all of my thoughts and theories and stuff like that. But very excited. I'm going to be jumping into this next batch. It's going to be about like 23 minutes worth of footage for the next 3 episodes, and then we'll jump into everything with the discussions afterwards. But yeah, thank you guys for the support. Leave all your thoughts in the comments, and without further ado, let's start this. All right, guys, we're going to be jumping into Red vs. Blue Season 10, episodes 8 through 10. Again, thank you guys for the support. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and we're going to be starting this. My stomach actually really hurts right now because I'm so anxious for what's going to happen. We're going to be starting this in 3, 2, 1, now. All right, Hangar Bay. They're getting ready to leave.
This one
oh my God!
Here. That one goes
Is that 479er? It's so weird seeing her out of the cockpit. Oh, they're getting Mother of Invention Hangar A1 many years ago. Oh, they're getting ready to go on the mission.
Ready? Just about. Running final checks now. All right, you heard her.
Oh my God, they're literally going to fight CT.
Let's go.
Hey, the squad.
Whoa. Hang on a minute.
Huh? Oh, she's seeing him for the first time.
New edition.
Your new edition is pretty small.
I said the same thing. Delta's a computer program.
With the dick joke still?
He's an AI.
Oh, AI, huh?
What's the I stand for?
Artificial.
I don't know what the fuck it stands for. What's it doing here?
Oh my God, I know what the fuck it is. She said what the A stands for.
What are you looking at? I said put it over there.
Oh my God, she's such a hard ass.
Guys, get a move on. Hang on a minute. You,
Huh?
green guy. Do you know how to fly a plane?
No, I do not.
Yeah, leave that to her.
We're cool then. Everybody on board.
Oh, I love 479er.
Not over there.
Wow.
Over there. Just quit screwing around and put that thing back where you found it.
Wow. Dude, you're gonna run this guy ragged. Yo, 479er does not fuck around.
Wheels up and engines hot.
Jesus.
Keep the light on for us, Command.
She's a hard ass. I love her.
Good luck.
Thanks, Command.
We won't need it.
Out. Man, I would hate to have that guy's job.
The use of words expressing something other than their literal intention. Now that is irony.
Yikes. I guess that's why you pilot the ship. Fuck, they're going to fight CT. The desert! Woo! Woo! Ancient alien temples, present day. Oh, you heard like the
Where you found the body?
like
Yep.
the meta?
She's right up there.
We'll see. Take me there. Sink.
No, it's a guy. Did he not take her armor off?
Where was this chick back when we had that awesome tank?
Bitches love tanks. I don't get it. What is she
Bitches
looking
love
for?
tanks.
You tell me. I don't know half of what's
They're
happening.
looking for
these days.
CT.
You found me here, remember?
Oh, yeah. You were
Yeah,
kind
this
of
is
a
where we
badass,
got
actually.
Tucker and the
I'm kind of a badass
orb.
all the time. You guys just
So
happen to
much
notice it.
throwbacks,
That's
man.
not true. I never noticed it.
Look, the point is she's not telling us everything. I
Yeah.
just don't understand why.
Who knows, man? I've tried everything I can to get some info out of her. I tried hitting on her. I tried sleeping with her. I tried
Okay,
making out with
you're
her.
lucky she didn't fucking kill you then.
Dude, no kidding. I used the whole
Jeez.
playbook. I even used my best pickup line. Hey, baby, did you fall from heaven? Because I've always wanted to bone an angel.
Tucker, be honest. Have you ever had sex with anything besides
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly,
The more important
dude.
question here is, do you know any girls who aren't complete bitches that won't sleep with me?
Sorry,
All
dude.
right, relax.
That seems to be all I have in my life.
You're like the worst wingman ever.
Hey, I'd love to have him as my wingman any day. Fuck, this is it. En route to enemy
Indeed
base.
we are. The enemy base is right below us.
How far below?
Do you really want to know?
Probably not. Do I want to know?
I'm like so
75,000
nervous of
feet.
what's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
that's high.
Is Maine with
You guys
them?
need computer programs. Yes, that's very high.
That is approximately 14.2 miles.
Hey, quick
Not need to do
maths.
that anymore.
Automatic conversion routines offline.
There you go.
What's the plan?
Fuck.
Well, we know they're ready for us. I figured that they have defenses pointed in every direction, except they're probably not looking straight up. They're
Above.
probably not
They gotta
looking straight up. You
Freaking
thinking about a dive
ODST
bomb?
drop on them?
Sort of, but if we did a dive bomb, our engines would register on their thermals. Let them know that we're coming.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking something else.
Huh. Are you just gonna like
Probably
drop
wanna
on
find that
them?
harness.
Oh, no.
Oh shit, here we go. This is it.
Express elevator going down.
Express elevator. You just like turned off the thrusters? Are you serious?
I think I'm gonna be sick.
You know, these suits are supposed to eliminate all waste. You could probably throw up in your helmet and it would take care of it for you.
Wow.
You should test that one.
Hey, it's
You
out of
do,
beta.
assholes.
Actually, York, we were never able to get the vomit disposal patch beyond the Asian would likely drown.
Aww.
Way to kill the mood, D.
Hey,
Yeah.
York, send that little green guy up
Holy
here.
shit,
Hey,
dude,
you
they're
heard her.
freaking
Front
free
center.
falling.
May I be of
Oh!
assistance?
Hey, buddy.
No!
I need you to tell me when I can fire
Don't do
the
that.
jet
She
so
does
fast.
not need help.
You know, to avoid crashing.
Please don't say crashing.
I understand. To prepare, I will need to calibrate for your reaction time.
Fine, go ahead.
When I say mark, you say sync. Mark.
Sync.
Mark.
Sync.
Calibration
Oh,
complete.
that's why they do
I
it,
have a
to
high degree of
calculate
confidence we
reaction.
will be able to complete this maneuver.
Wait,
Yeah, there you go.
Why did you just blink like that?
What's that?
That was just a standard maintenance routine.
Dude, did you
Oh.
take a backup of yourself?
God
Confidence
damn
is
it.
one thing, but it is always
A
prudent to
backup?
prepare for failure.
That's a dick move, green guy.
Oh, what the heck? He
apologize,
backed
I have
himself
a
up?
Dick move.
Prepare to fire
Hey,
engines.
I mean,
on
it's a
my
dick
mark.
move. They've been
5,
making dick jokes the whole
4,
time. Oh, fuck. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I feel so bad for these guys. Oh, no. You ever wonder why we're here?
Everybody out!
Oh, I love it.
Let's
Whoa,
move.
let's go. More music? Oh, fuck, let's go. More action. Yeah.
Stay behind me.
Oh, I like, is this a song? Careful, Wash, York, be careful. Whoa, what? What was that? Was that an hemp? Was that an EMP?
I didn't think they'd find me so quickly.
It was only a matter of time.
Was that his armor
Let's deal with
ability?
this. All hands topside.
Oh, they
We're under
found
attack.
you.
This is not a drill. Let's go, people. Move.
Fuck, 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 fuck. You better move.
Got a time that's just right. Wait for my mark. Call it.
Oh, on my mark. Oh, the sniper guy's back.
What have you got for me?
They have AIs
Alright,
this time. You're gonna be
Me first.
fucked, dude. Yo, if Maine is somewhere here, they are fucked, dude.
Not now. Come on.
Damn!
Ooh, careful.
North, we're pinned down. I need you to take them out.
We can't get a line of sight on the
Yo, the music. Oh my god, South is
Ready!
Putting up a Hail Mary.
Beta, let's go, buddy. I love you so much. All right.
Best offense.
Ooh, oh, it's a bomb, and then
Defense.
the bubble shield's gonna protect them.
What the? Hold your
Wow.
fire,
Oh, they have a
people.
portable bubble shield.
I got this. No, wait!
No!
Yeah, North, you got him.
Wow!
You are welcome.
Okay, we're
That was a
moving.
portable.
Sure,
That
you
was
guys
his
handle this
bubble
from here,
shield
right?
that
Handle
he
it.
brought to
Sure.
them.
I mean, I nearly got blown up a minute ago, and now I'm paired with the squad's second worst fighter. But sure, I can handle it.
Wow!
North out.
And he shot.
You think I'm the
Theta
second worst
opened
fighter?
it for him to
No,
get
I was
in.
being nice. You're easily the worst.
Oh!
You were saying?
Oh! Fuck this guy! That's Main's. The guy that shot Main. All right, come on, Wash. Wash, you gotta do this, buddy. Stop being a Boy Scout.
Oh, damn it.
Dude, yo! York! Carolina!
Fuck, no, you don't.
Oh my god, Wash is just like running around. Yo, this is a rematch.
Oh, bitch. Payback time.
Payback? Come on now. You fucked up one of their friends. Yo, get him. Yo! Oh my god. This is so hype. Fire with a bomb? Oh. Hello? What's that? Is it a... Oh! Oh my fucking god! He's gonna get revenge!
Agent Main, isn't that the soldier from the freeway? The one that shot you in the throat?
Oh, you're fucked! You're dead! You're dead!
Sick him.
You're fucking dead! Sick him? Sick him? Like he's your fucking dog? Oh my
Agent
god.
Main, isn't that the soldier from the freeway?
Dude, I can't believe Main's in the fucking armament crate!
I thought so.
Oh
Sick him.
no. You're dead, dude! Is he the meta already? Oh my fucking god, I'm gonna die! I'm gonna die! I'm gonna die! Oh!
Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Sig.
What the
sure
fuck are
he's
you
good to fight
doing,
some
Sigma?
He was hurt pretty bad.
As compared to whom, Agent York? You two don't look so good yourselves. Hello, brother.
Sigma, protocol dictates that AI units are not to communicate directly with each
Protocol is
With
just
each
another way
other.
of saying rules, Delta. Remember what the director says. There are no rules on the battlefield.
Oh my god, that's right!
Besides, we AI
The
should really
paintball
stick together.
simulation!
Excuse me. I'll be right back.
Sigma, what the fuck,
I'll be
bro?
honest, that one kind of gives me the creeps. Yeah, I
Yeah,
hear you.
for good fucking reason.
Come on, let's move.
He's gonna kill all of you.
Well, hello.
Oh my
What a
god,
pleasure
he's
to see you
Sigma's
again.
lapdog! Holy shit, dude, I can't right now! What the fuck, he has a robot arm?
Pleasure's all mine, bitch.
Oh, and there's this girl again! Yo, the rematch! Who's this guy? Was he in the last fight? Oh, you're fucked, dude. Main's gonna eat you for breakfast! He's gonna fucking kill you! Oh no! Oh my fucking god! Oh my... Dude, I feel like the worst is yet to come with him. He's gonna kill everybody!
Come here.
Carolina! You're such a badass. I fucking love. Yeah! Fucking cattle prod. Yo, she's the number one. Oh no! Main! Main!
Go with you.
Oh my god. Okay, at least he's not complete, like a complete brute. Oh! What? He fucking caught that? Yeah, catch that one, dude. Bro! Main's literally gonna go after everybody! Careful, 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 Carolina! Yo, this girl's really good! Oh, the mask comes off! Oh, Carolina's theme! Oh!
Stop it.
Okay. I need a fucking minute. I need a fucking minute or I'm gonna fucking die. Holy shit, dude. Maine is on a motherfucking warpath right now. I can't, like... Oh my god. I need a second. Holy fuck, I need a second. My heart is racing right now. I feel like Maine is gonna, like, become the meta at this point. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Maine is gonna, like, lose himself in this fight. Sigma's doing fuck all whatever. I have no idea where the hell he went. He just says, sick him, like he's a fucking dog. And he just listens. And he's just blinded by his rage about all three of them, like, got the one up on him in the freaking, on the highway mission. He got sniped by the sniper. He got the briefcase stolen from him by the girl. And the guy shot him in the fucking throat. And I literally feel like he's just gonna, like, go ape shit in this. Oh my god, the sequence was incredible. Monty, oh my god, bless your fucking heart, dude. That animation was so clean. Like, whenever, especially with Carolina, and then Theta going in the field, we got to see the EMP. Was that, like, a portable EMP, like, armor ability that Wash had? Which is super ironic, considering he used an EMP in Season 6. Fuck, man. Oh my god, okay. I'm gonna gather my composure before I die in my house right now. We're gonna jump back in. Okay, hold on. Actually, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. I kind of want to go back and see some of that fight sequence. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna wind it back to, like, the very beginning here. This was so cool, man.
I need you to take them out.
Oh my god. So this part right here, I, like, miscalculated. I saw him throw the thing, but I thought it was like a bomb. Theta, you're so adorable. I love you. So he's in that, he throws it, and then Theta controls it from a distance. Look at that, man. That's what it was. Okay. That's his bubble shield. He's gonna shoot. Theta lets him in. Wow, the red mist. Wow.
Yeah, North.
So impressive. I missed that completely.
You are welcome.
You're so fucking cool, Theta. I love you to death.
Handle it. Sure.
Oh my god.
I nearly got blown up a minute ago.
Wash is such a Boy Scout too. Like, he's barely able to do anything.
You really think I'm the second worst fighter? No, I was being nice. You're easily the worst.
Yeah, literally. This fucking guy.
Yeah.
Damn, man. Oh, this fucking guy. This is like the heavy dude of their group, I think. Guys hate Wash. I missed that too. Oh my god. Wow. Oh, I love the sound of her shoes falling like that. So, how did he lose his arm? Who was he? Because he said payback. Oh, you getting fucked up, dude? This guy's got one eye. And then he returned it back.
Time to fight fire with fire.
Shit, time to, fight fire with fire because Sigma's fire. He's on fire. Also, Maine is like their heavy-duty tank. My fucking god, dude. Is he becoming the meta slowly but surely?
Agent Maine, isn't that the soldier from the freeway? The one that shot you in the throat? I thought so. Sick him.
Sick him. Fuck you, dude. He's not a fucking dog. I feel so bad for Maine, dude. He literally just loses himself because Sigma's too much influence. He's too ambitious.
I thought so. Sick him.
And you hear the after voice repeating what he says. Oh my god. Just fucking Maine, you are a beast.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Sig. You sure he's good to fight so soon? He was hurt pretty bad.
As compared to whom, Agent York? You two don't look so good yourselves. Hello, brother.
These
Sigma,
two.
Protocol dictates that AI units are not to communicate directly with each
Protocol is just another way
With
of saying
each
rules,
what?
Delta. Remember what the director says. There are no rules on the battlefield.
There's no rules on the bat. That's what he said in the
Besides,
paintball mission. He was
the AI
like, "You
should
think the
really
enemy's gonna
stick
listen to
together."
rules and regulations?"
Excuse me. I'll be right back.
Where did you go?
I'll be honest. That one kind of gives me the creeps. Yeah, I hear you.
Fuck.
Come on, let's move.
Literally, he's gonna be your downfall. All of you.
Hello. What a pleasure to see you again.
Oh, snap. I didn't know she was making small talk there. And that's why she says bitch. And then they go at it. Let's
Pleasure's
go.
all mine, bitch.
Dude, I love Monty's. Like, I swear to God, like... Oh my God, it's so fluid and clean. This guy, I feel so fucking bad for you. I can't even put it into words. I feel so bad for you, man. I feel like you're just following orders. I feel like that killed him too. Fuck. Yo, Carolina, you're so fucking bad. You don't stop. Wow. Yo. Oh my God, this is so awesome, man. Carolina is so bad. Oh, the Germans. Oh, the German suplex into the freaking body slam. Oh, well, luckily he's not like one-upping everybody. But it's, yo, this is so so sick, dude.
Oh, my robot arm!
My robot arm! Yo, is that like a reference to Yang? Like a reverse reference? That's the arm that she gets in Volume 4. Dude, girl on girl, this shit's so hype. Hit you so hard your fucking helmet came off. This is fucked up. That's fucked up. I completely forgot that guy went flying into the freaking water. Fuck, man. You are a savage, bro. You are a literal savage.
Stop it.
Stop it, Caboose.
Attention, blue team! We would like to propose a temporary truce so that we
man.
may discuss our current situation.
What the hell does that mean?
Accept?
I don't get it. Does he still think we're fighting or something? Maybe it's a trap. I
Reds and
doubt
blues are
they're
the
smart enough
same.
to think of that. But then again, neither are you. How do you know that? Are you in with them? Yes! We accept!
Hey, yeah, we accept, because we moved the plot.
What's up?
It's our mutual friend/enemy/companion. Or friend and a companion for short.
Oh, my friend and a
concerned
companion.
about Carolina.
Really? Did these concerns start
What is she
before or
doing?
after she
They
left
went to
us
go look
die
for
in the desert?
CT.
Dude, not now. The heat is killing me.
Doesn't your helmet have cooling fans?
Yeah, but I sweat so much they short-circuited.
Jeez,
Ugh.
we haven't even been in the desert that long.
Fuck.
Desert. These things broke
This
through
happened a
space,
long
right?
time
Yeah,
ago.
I'm sorry. I don't see how any of this applies to the trap.
So where's
Guys,
Washington?
look, we need to focus.
I can't believe
I
Epsilon
realize
is like a
that's
little
lot of
mini
you,
version of...
Especially since we're all a little uneasy around Carolina. No. Uneasy
Yeah.
is sitting next to a homeless dude on the bus.
Yeah, we've got a trigger-happy psychopath. It's like she's some sort of half-woman, half-shark.
Okay,
Given
relax.
cybernetic powers.
These guys.
Woman half is also one-quarter jaguar.
Okay.
All right,
okay.
we get it,
We're all
we get it.
terrified of the scary freelancer lady. That's why we need to stick together. It's just us.
And, dude, she can
Them.
body
Them.
every
Can't
single
trust
one of you
Wash.
and your
At least not
mothers.
as long as she's around.
Huh?
All right then, Tooth Fairy.
Huh.
What's the plan?
Tooth
We need to figure out
Fairy?
exactly what Carolina is up to.
Yeah.
Why she isn't telling us anything. Okay, I'll go ask her. Oh,
Don't do that, Caboose,
no,
please.
Caboose, look, just don't. Okay, fine.
Yeah, thank
What
you.
would you like me to ask her? You can go ask her if she has the hots for me. I think I might have felt an emotional
All right,
connection
Tucker,
the last
relax,
time she
bro.
hit me. Tell her you'd like
You're
to
not
make an
getting
emotional
anywhere
hot
with that.
connection with her trap. Got it. Oh, that's even better. Okay, A, please stop saying the word trap. And B, you idiot. Okay, how about ambush? Guys, I'm serious. We
Chill,
need something
focus.
subtle. A way we can get
Focus.
close to her without her knowing.
Hey, Caboose. You were the one who put Epsilon in that floating alien ball thing, right?
Hover Church can also solve
Huh?
crime.
Can you do it again?
How would you feel about putting him in something a little
Oh.
different?
Oh my God!
Fuck you.
No way!
Solve so many crimes.
Are you serious? He's gonna be put into on a mongoose? Enemy compound complex? Oh, you guys better hurry up. You got. Oh, is that Sharkface? Sharkface made it out of there alive? The freaking whole building blew up. Oh my God, you're. Fuck! Oh! Are you kidding?
Surprise.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Got company coming.
That freelancer literally just dies. We don't hear a thing from him. Oh, never mind. I thought that was Sharkface. It's somebody else. That's kind of cool.
Hold this position.
Is that like a lullaby music? Oh, it's Wyoming! Oh, nice! The sniper.
Well, about time.
Hey, Wyoming. We missed all the fun?
Hardly, chaps.
Someone's
Where
dead.
about here, Carolina? Oh, yes.
There she is. Hey, Wyoming's talking now.
I prefer not to be killed, if at all possible.
Sure. Got any ideas?
Nice.
We got any nukes?
What the
You mean
fuck? Who
besides
was
the
that
one I'm going to
freelancer that
drop
just
on Wyoming
died?
If he doesn't move the hell up.
Yes, I can see everything.
Hey, let's do it.
From back here. Thank you.
We need to get in that bunker.
You guys need
That's
to
where
work
Stevie
together,
and their leader
fuck.
are holed up. How are we gonna get through all of this?
So far, we're not.
Where's Theta?
Wyoming should try him with his knock-knock jokes.
Oh, Gamma?
Buddy, stop.
Everybody's
Oh, his knock-knock jokes. I don't think
Yeah,
he's giving them to
I was
Gamma
kidding.
yet.
Now shut up.
Shut up.
Both of you shut up. Okay, here's what we're going
Gamma's
to do.
the one who did the
Wash, you
knock-knock
establish a
jokes.
line on that side.
So I
Work
think
in
he's already
Wyoming,
created. Ooh, Tex! She just runs up in there.
Cover me.
Wow.
Open fire.
Yeah, now you want to go in because you got competition. Oh, God damn it, Carolina.
Damn it.
Always in competition with somebody.
Yep. But it's not them she's fighting against.
Yeah, it's her own teammates. You've got to be kidding me, Carolina. During a mission? Are you serious? I know you're in it to win it, but
I
jeez.
have no idea how she got here.
That's because she didn't.
Exactly. Wow, she already knew that.
If what you're saying is true, how could this have happened?
Nice transition. Nice transition. I like
The
it.
escape vehicle.
I'm not leaving them.
Oh, boy.
Don't understand. They want me. I
Yeah.
don't care about the rest of you. I know too much.
Yep, and now you're gonna die for it.
Quiet. That room is guarded by turrets.
I can get past them.
If there was a way to do it, I would have already done it.
York,
Oh,
I need you
boy.
to cut the power
Now
up.
you're talking to an AI. Fuck, that scared me.
A little busy out here.
Just do it.
I'll see what I can do. Sounds like a
All right.
chance to get out of this firefight.
Good show, mate. That's the spirit.
Oh, he's alive! Oh, thank God! Who are you, bro? Wow. Wow, what the heck? Oh, the distraction!
So much for that plan.
What now?
Who are you, bro? Do you have an AI? Are you... Who the fuck is this guy? He just fucking bodied these
I
two.
don't believe it. We're all clear, Carolina. We'll be dark in less than 60.
Roger that.
Who is
Don't
that,
forget our
please?
We're just here to retrieve the armor.
Carolina, I know what the fucking objective is.
Damn it!
We need to go.
I already told
Yo,
you.
can
I
you
can't leave
can you
Most
two
of them are already
please? They're
dead.
like,
Besides, if we leave, they have no reason to be here. Please, let's just go while we still
Oh, no.
can.
Connie, come on.
You promised me. You said we would be together. I have
No,
all
he
the information
lied.
we need. I have my armor. We can take this to the right people, and they'll...
They'll what, Connie?
yo,
I
what?
don't know. Make a deal with us. Keep us out of prison. They'll help us. Come on, we don't have
No,
much time.
dude, you're going up
Actually,
against the
you don't have
best
any time.
of the
Carolina.
best.
And you.
Hey, Carolina, the power's off.
We noticed.
What? No, thank you? This was a complicated...
Actually, I did most of the work, Agent.
Thank you, Delta.
CT, you have
I am-
something that belongs to Project Freelancer.
I am
And
stressed.
you know how the director hates to share.
You two are fools. The director is playing you. Don't you see it? CT, stop it. We know you've been feeding intel to the resistance for months.
Is that who he told you we are?
They're not the enemy,
Who are
Carolina.
you?
We're the ones working outside the rules, not them.
What?
You know what the director's done?
What?
He's broken major laws.
You're the bad?
And this
You're
is
the good
where
guys?
we're all gonna have to pay for his crimes. Maybe some of us are already paying for that.
You need to stop talking, CT.
No.
Oh my god.
I know what you are, Tex.
But what?
And I won't take orders from a shadow.
What?
What?
You're coming with us, CT. This is your last chance. No.
She knows
I'm
she's
going
an AI.
with you.
Actually, we don't need you. We just
They're gonna
need your
kill you. No! Oh! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! She's like Blake! Oh my fucking god! The best of the best! Yo, what song is this? Dude, this is sick! This is sick! Oh my fucking god, dude! Oh! 2-1-1! Yo, I can't believe it! I can't believe it! Carolina and Tex are working together! Careful! 2! Oh my god! Oh my god!
What the hell are you doing? Completing our objective.
By killing a teammate?
She's not a teammate.
She's not a
She's a traitor.
At least she's nice
Damn
about it. At least she doesn't
That's
want
on
to just
you.
straight up kill
I
her.
guess you can explain how we lost a full suit of armor and failed to capture the leader of the resistance. Command, we need extraction now.
You're an AI.
Read you loud and clear, Texas. Clear me an LZ and get ready for pickup.
I don't know what's gotten into you, Texas, but you better figure out the difference between your
Wait, Omega! Does she have Omega? Is that why she's so aggressive? Oh no, she's gonna die! Oh my god.
Connie.
Here,
Oh.
take the info. It's not complete, but it will get them started. Go. Find the new artifact.
Just rest, Connie. Just rest. Connie.
Oh my fucking god.
No. No.
Fuck, man. Fuck, dude, everything's falling apart now. And that's how he gets it. What song is this?
So that's what happened to her armor.
Apparently. We never did complete our objective.
But why come out here? What's the motivation?
Artifacts.
I have a feeling this will tell us.
You're gonna find out about everything. Fuck, man. I did not think she was gonna die like that. Oh, man. It's all downhill from here. Maine's gonna go down that path. South is gonna kill her brother. Oh my god, man. What does this show turn me into, man? These characters are so great, man, and it just sucks that we know what happens to them already. Fuck. That sequence was really great, though. CT fights kind of like Blake does in Ruby. That's kind of cool. Like, she makes like after images of herself that take the hit. But unlike Blake, who runs away from that, CT stays and fights. I think Tex has Omega in her already. That's why she was so fucking aggressive. Oh, fuck off. They're gonna find out now. They have the data pad. Years later, they have the data pad that's gonna tell them about how they're in the wrong. The insurrectionists are the good guys. The director's the bad guy. Tex is an AI. They're torturing this alpha. And these next few episodes are going to be absolute fucking chaos. I am so broken, man. I'm so devastated. I don't even know what to say. That's the reaction. I'm gonna get into the discussion in a little bit. But that was a really good episode. I got nothing else. Hey guys, so this is going to be the discussion portion of the video for the batch of episodes that you guys just checked out for RVB Season 10, Episodes 8 through 10. I believe the episodes are Falling from Heaven, Fighting Fire, and CT. Episodes of hype, episodes of action, and episodes of tragedy. And I think the tragic nature of this show is only going to ramp up as we're getting into the second half of Project Freelancer, the inevitable downward spiral of everything, of these characters, time as friends, as comrades, turning more into enemies and adversaries, as everything kind of unfolds with the freelancers, with the AI, with the director, with the project as a whole, the realization of Alpha, they're asking questions, and everything is kind of getting to the point, the inevitable events that are going to happen. You know, this is a prequel story. Everything has already really happened. And this is like the first episode of true tragedy that has struck me in a way that I wasn't expecting for a character like CT, someone who, when I first saw her, you know, she was very hard on herself. She was, at the same time, she was still very headstrong. And, you know, she thought for herself. I immediately, you know, identified her as this traitor, someone who's going against the good guys. And it turns out that she was in the right. You know what I mean? She was doing the right things, not necessarily in the right way, but in the best way that she knew how, because, you know, she didn't idolize the director like everybody did. She thought for herself and she did what she felt was right. And unfortunately, she tried to help her friends before it was too late. And, you know, unfortunately what happened to her. We finally have the explanation for the male CT in season 7 compared to the female CT of Project Freelancer, how that kind of correlated. So my theory kind of came together. And as usual, I've done a bit of research for this video. It's not going to be as in-depth it's not going to be anywhere to the extent of the first 2 batches, especially 5 to 7, where I had 3 hours of just theory crafting and speculations and stuff like that. Mainly because these 3 episodes, there was a lot of action, and for the most part, you know what I mean? Whether it's Monty's action or just the animation team as a whole, the action really speaks for itself. You know what I mean? I can kind of give my take on, oh, I liked this scene, or I thought this went really well. I like the choreography of this or of that. But you can't really break down and analyze action. And at least I can't, unless I was an animator myself, and I can have some input on, oh, why they decided to do this, or why the camera was angled that way, or something like that. So most of the episodes, we got action in all 3 episodes, and I didn't even realize this as I was watching this, but Georgia batched these episodes in a way that it was basically the entire sequence of the assault on the insurrectionist base. So it kind of started and ended in one sequence. So I kind of like how that works out too. The last batch I feel like was mainly focused on Sigma and like the AI and stuff like that. So a lot of these batches kind of put together whole event, so that way I'm not splicing something or cutting off an event and then have to pick it up in the next batch and have to wait a week. You know, you guys have to wait a week to see, you know, the outcome of that. So for this week, not a lot of research, but a bit of research nonetheless. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. Only 4 pages. It's kind of me grasping at what I can for the sake of a discussion. Not necessarily for the sake of a discussion, but there's obviously things to talk about. But I just wanted to kind of preface this right out the gate. It's not going to be as in-depth, at least I don't think it's going to be as in-depth as the last 2 batches for obvious reasons. There's mainly action littered throughout. Really great action, actually. I think the best fight of the series to date from what I've seen is definitely Carolina and Tex versus CT and the insurrectionist leader. I'll get to that when we get to that at the end, of course. But jumping right into it, Red vs. Blue, Season 10, Episodes 8 through 10 being Falling from Heaven, Fighting Fire, and CT. And the first thing that I noticed, I don't know if it's each individual episode or maybe just this batch in its entirety, like for the entire event, but with the exception of Georgia and Utah and any other freelancers that we've gotten names of but haven't actually seen, I think this batch is the first that we've seen every single freelancer showcased in. Even the blue freelancer, like we don't know his name, but we know he's a freelancer. He was shown off during the briefing of the heist mission last season. But like all of the freelancers that we know and love that we've seen on and off the board since since Project Freelancer has started, going all the way back to Blood Gulch and Out of Mind and stuff like that, Wash, North, South, Maine, Carolina, CT, basically all of them are featured throughout the episode. So I thought that was kind of cool. I feel like every freelancer gets a moment to shine in this batch too. Like I said, even the blue freelancer just comes out of nowhere, pops off. Like, we don't know his name. We don't know anything about him. We saw him as like a little bit of like maybe like a cameo. I thought that was in a way, Rooster Teeth letting us know, yeah, other freelancers exist, not just the only like 8 or 9 that we focus on for this Project Freelancer backstory, because there are supposed to be 50 freelancers. So I thought that was really cool, that each character really shined. You see York shine, you see Wash shine, and D shine for to an extent, but I feel like everyone gets a moment, everyone gets a slice of the pie when it comes to this entire mission to kind of showcase what they're capable of, and not just in their specializations, right? We don't just see we don't just see North and South being stealthy. We don't just see York busting locks and stuff like that. So I thought that was really neat that each freelancer shows up, gets to contribute to an extent, and kind of contributes to the wrap up of this batch and this mission of taking down the insurrectionists. So starting the first episode, Falling from Heaven, I really think this opening section was dedicated solely to 479er, and I put here 479er Spotlight. Because I really feel like she is an underrated character. And I think she's a character at this point that I really, really like. Like, I feel like she's one of those characters that shines just as much in her own light compared to a main character, right? Like, she's a side character, but I really wish she had more of the spotlight or more focus and attention on it because she's so interesting. And like, we've seen bits and pieces of her personality here and there. She's responsible for bringing these freelancers to and from their mission points. Like, she's extraction and she's drop off for them. And I just loved how sassy and how hard, how much of a sassy hard ass she is. She has a personality that shines more than ever. And again, it goes into play with both seeing what she's like, bits and pieces throughout last season and this season. But I think this opening part of the episode, showcases that more than any.
Well, I guess so much for our go-round.
I heard that 479er.
Yep, that's because I transmitted it.
Can't you get us out of here?
I'm working on it.
What's that noise?
They have missile lock.
That's bad.
Yes, that's bad.
Take evasive maneuvers.
I'm trying.
Well, try harder.
Hey, Sal, do me a favor, would you?
What?
Thanks.
You stupid.
Everybody hold on back there. Things are gonna get a little, bumpy. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say crashy, but yeah, bumpy works.
No. This one goes here, that one goes there.
What are you looking at? I said put it over there. Pay attention.
Not over there. Just quit screwing around and put that thing back where you found it.
And I thought it was really funny that they did basically like the reverse of what I mentioned last week. So in last week's batch, one of the episodes that showcased, that talked about like AI theory and had Sigma in it, the episode title was called "What's the I Stand For?" And that's basically the running gag, I guess, that they're returning back, and they featured it in the title of the episode of like Caboose mentioning, what's the A stand for? What's the I stand for? You know, artificial intelligence. And then she basically does it, but she kind of adds her own spin. I thought that was really funny too.
She got recruited into some kind of weird experimental program back during basic where they infused her armor with this really aggressive AI. I'm not really sure how it all works, but all I know is it made her meaner and tougher than hell.
AI. What's the A stand for?
Artificial.
What's the
Intelligence.
Oh, what was the A again?
Let's move on.
What is that thing?
This is Delta, our new addition.
Your new addition is pretty small.
I said the same thing. Delta is a computer program. He helps us figure stuff out. He's an AI.
Oh, AI, huh? What's the A stand for?
Artificial.
I know what the fuck it stands for. What's it doing here?
And like I said, I think she's just a very interesting and compelling character, despite the fact that she's not a red, she's not a blue, she's not an AI, and she's not a freelancer. But at the same time, I think she's just as important because this is a prequel story, and we already know what becomes of a lot of these people. We still have yet to find out the aftermath of what's going to happen with Carolina and Washington after season 10, you know, at least in the present. What's the director up to? What's the council up to? What's the chairman up to? And what's 479 up to? Because, like, we know also that there was a very ironic statement that was made in this episode as well regarding 479, because I found out about this... I forgot when I found out about this, but apparently, I think I actually picked up on it, I think it was last season, season 9, that 479er goes on to become a member of the command center.
This is 479er. We are wheels up and engines hot. Leave the light on for us, Command.
Roger that, 479er. Good luck.
Thanks, Command. 479er out. Man, I would hate to have that guy's job.
The use of words expressing something other than their literal intention. Now that is irony.
So in a way it's ironic, but it's also very relieving to know that most of these characters don't make it. Like, right, they survive the project's downfall, they go their separate ways, but inevitably, like, fate, destiny, like, and I mentioned this before, I really feel like every single one of these characters are destined to die. You know what I mean? Because a lot of it was set up to where by the time we got to season 6, season 7, season 8, most of these characters, most of these freelancers, I think, are dead, like straight up dead. And now we're getting the explanation of some characters, how CT died. You know, we're getting a bit of moments here and there that kind of reinforce these characters when they were in the spotlight in the present, like York, for example. And you know, and all of the freelancers, and I'm sorry, all of the AI and the alpha and stuff like that. So it's a very bittersweet backstory because we all know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? What happened to CT is gonna happen to Maine. It's gonna happen to York. It's gonna happen to North Dakota, to South Dakota. It's gonna happen to these characters that we know and love, Wyoming, and all of the AI, and you know what I mean, and even the alpha. And there's really, it's a bittersweet thing to go through because it's like, you know, and you love these characters so much, and you want what's best for them. You want the world for them. And I didn't think CT's death in particular was going to hit me so hard because, you know, I didn't know the real CT. That's another thing too. I thought I knew the perception of CT in the desert, and I was always conflicted because I was like, it's a guy, but some people are saying it's a girl, and then we see her and it's actually a girl. So how does that make sense? How does this person have their armor? How does that come together? And in the short time that I saw CT in last season and in this season, I loved her. I loved her as a character. She's an amazing fucking fighter. And I'll get to that when we get to the end because I'm kind of like lost in my thoughts of the episode and of this entire like 2-part saga of these characters and the shit that they went through and the hardships that they had to overcome and just knowing that, you know, things don't pan out for most of them. You know, Washington was such a fucking Boy Scout. He was so awesome. He was so innocent. He was so genuine. And things just changed for him so much. And I want that for him now because it seems like now he has a redemption. Now he's with the Reds and the Blues. He's on Blue Team. He's friends with Caboose. And I really want that to kind of open him, I guess, soften him up, not make him so hard on himself and so, you know, so cynical of everything because of what happened in his past. And I hope that happens with Carolina too, because she's giving everybody shit. She's being a hard ass to everyone. She's not opening up. She's not, you know, she's not trusting of anyone. And it's rightfully, you know, it's understandable why that's the case. And I'm going off on a tangent right now based on 479er, because in the similar fact, 479er survived too. And she's a byproduct of all of this. You know what I mean? She's not like in it, you know what I mean? She's not a freelancer like all of them. She doesn't get an AI like all of them, but she probably has seen shit go, you know, she's basically seen the hell in a handbasket that became the project and its downward spiral, and, you know, she ended up getting repurposed for something else. I just thought that it was ironic that she makes the claim to that guy, I'd hate to have that guy's job, and then years down the road, she ends up getting that guy's job. So, again, that's also a reference to the fact that, you know, she is still around, she's still alive, and, you know, at the very least, her and a couple of other freelancers are still kicking. It'd be great to kind of get them together, like if Wash and Carolina, after, you know, like after season 10, I assume, because a lot of the stuff that's focused on right now is finding the director. If they do come across 479er again and just kind of I don't know, shoot the shit and just reminisce, not even reminisce, because you're reminiscing on bad times. You know, there were good times in there, but I feel like for the most part, it's too much pain and too much anguish, especially remembering your friends and remembering all the good times before shit went to hell. So, again, I think this opening sequence, more than anything, was mainly to showcase the personality of 479er and show how interesting of a character she is. I wouldn't mind, honestly, to be quite honest, I wouldn't mind getting like a spin-off series, or a spin-off season rather, because I know season 14 is like an anthology. I would love for them to just do like not an anthology season, but like a season dedicated to other freelancers that we don't see at all in this series, whether they're in Project Freelancer, whether it's before Project Freelancer or after Project Freelancer. Like, I would like to see the CTs of the series. I'd like to see the Souths of the series, people who aren't the star, the shining star that carry the story, you know, with the AI and all that other stuff. I don't know. I think it would just be very interesting to kind of get a better understanding of how 479er and characters like her, whether they're freelancers or whether they're just bystanders in the universe, how that would kind of play out, because I still know that there's a lot more of a story to be told for the rest of season 10, and then Miles comes in with an entire trilogy that kind of adds on to that, and I'm assuming Chorus, Charon Industries is going to be a major factor of that, because they're foreshadowing a lot of Charon now. And I'm already kind of expecting that to kind of be something that is brought up later, especially from the datapad that Carolina ended up getting. But yeah, so the initial part of the first batch, the first episode that I watched, loved the 479er spotlight, loved the fact that they gave a lot of that to her personality, her charm, you know, a bit of her sassiness and her sarcastic nature. It was really great to see. A lot of banter was actually in this batch as well, because I feel like it was mostly action and banter. A few of them that I kind of put here was like York's story that I didn't catch during my reaction, but I went back and watched it and I was like, oh my god, that's so funny.
Wrecked him. Damn near killed him.
York, how many times are we gonna have to listen to this story? Get a new one.
Another one too that was in the present day. I'm so upset that I missed this, but it was the sink automatic dishwasher.
This where you found the body?
Yep. She's right up there.
We'll see. Take me there. Sink.
Automatic dishwasher.
And touching up really quick on the present, again, I feel like this discussion at least isn't going to focus much on the present, because for right now, they're really just moving from point A to point B, looking for clues, looking for anything that can tell them the whereabouts of the director. So at least right now, the only other thing here is that they made a quick pit stop to kind of like figure out like what the heck's this CT business, this nonsense going on, because Carolina understood what happened, but Washington was out of the loop of it. So not much to kind of say again in regards to the present, but I feel like as we get closer and closer to discovering the director's presence and his whereabouts, that's where things are going to matter most, because present day director is something that I've wanted to see just as much as past day director. So we're eventually going to get that. I also think this batch, I don't know if it was the intention I remember last season I mentioned that Washington's a really big Boy Scout, you know what I mean? He follows the rules and he goes by protocol and regulation and stuff like that. Like, make sure you follow the rules. That's not allowed. And the director had to kind of set it straight to him like, yo, you think our enemies give a shit about rules on the battlefield? And I think this episode, this batch at least, or this sequence rather, showcased more of Washington as the runt of the litter, even more so than it did in previous batches. Like I don't want to end up like Georgia. Like, that is just like, oh my gosh, Washington, you're so precious, you're so innocent back in the day. But there are so many sequences throughout this batch that I was just like, oh my god. At this point, I feel like they're trying to make him into the past day caboose of his time.
The enemy base is right below us.
How far below?
Do you really want to know?
Probably not. Do I want to know?
75,000 feet.
Yeah, that's high.
Probably want to tighten that harness.
Oh, no. I think I'm gonna be sick! You should test that, Wash. You two are assholes!
Sure. I mean, I nearly got blown up a minute ago, and now I'm paired with the squad's second worst fighter. But sure, we can handle it.
Great. North out.
You really think I'm the second worst fighter?
No, I was being nice. You're easily the worst.
And again, I'm not saying that as like, oh my gosh, why are they dumbing him down or anything like that, because that was who he was. That's how I think people in general are until they go through hardship or they go through loss or they go through tough times as they grow up and they become less hopeful, they become less innocent, they become more cynical and more, you know, negative as they get older because of just life and just experiences. And I think Epsilon and I think the director and I think torturing the Alpha really fucked with his mind on more levels than just experiencing what the Alpha experienced, but also really kind of taking a step back and looking at his life, his situation, the people that he used to call friends, and you know what I mean? Like, it's like a night and day persona. Like, you look at Wash in the past and you look at him in the present, and if it wasn't for the armor, you would expect them to be totally different people, and it's just, that's what life did to him. That's what the director did to him. That's what all of this AI freelancer shit did to him, and you know what I mean? Like, I love that we're getting this runt of the litter moments with him of realizing that he's not the best fighter and realizing that he's kind of a goofball when it comes to, like, eating in his helmet and the way that he talks to his teammates and the way that his teammates treat him because, you know, he's not as great and, you know, he's kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, he's kind of like, it's kind of like a coming of age moment for him that to understand that there are people around him that are so much better than him. But by the time his moment comes in season, you know, in Out of Mind and in Recovery 1 and in season 6, he's out there fighting the best fucking person on the squad. You know, he's fighting Agent Texas with the meta because his life is just so out of whack. You know what I mean? Like, looking at it now, the fact that he went to those lengths, he went to the lengths of betraying and kind of turning on the Reds and Blues, who are just innocent idiots, really, siding with the meta and going after Texas as a means of just getting out of it. What would that have meant for him if he gave the Epsilon unit to the UNSC? What would he have done then? You know what I mean? The meta would have betrayed him. You know, it seems like the meta was going to just try to kill him if they didn't stop the meta. And God forbid, I wouldn't want him to, like, take his own life if that ended up becoming the case. Like, he gives it to the UNSC, the meta, like, goes off or whatever, or they chain the meta down and hold him down as, like, property of the UNSC. And then what does Wash have? You know, he doesn't know Caroline is alive. All of his other teammates are dead. And I don't know. It's moments like that. I like that they show Washington in this light, because it shows that he wasn't always like this. And he's basically the product of his environment. He's the product of the upbringings of the director and of the project as a whole. And again, I like those moments, and I really hope those moments kind of shine through with him now being on the blue team, having a second shot at life, being redeemed of sorts, and maybe opening his shell, and maybe even Carolina, like, kind of trusting these guys even though they weren't dealt the best hand of all. When they were, you know, in Project Freelancer and you know, under the director's thumb, if you will. So, yeah, like, again, I really liked seeing those moments with Washington throughout the episode. We got the infamous, the golden moment of it all. You ever wonder why we're here?
ever wonder why we're here? Hey. Yeah? You ever wonder why...
I'm very surprised that they, like, used that. I think they've done it one other time before. I can't... Oh, yeah. When I think it was at the end of season 5, like at the very end of how everything else happened, and they were just kind of like setting down, like after everything happened with Wyoming and with Gamma and with Omega and Texas and stuff like that, and they tried to set it up again. Like, you ever wonder why we're here? and then like Sarge even mentions it too. Like in his speech, he's like, "Why are you here? Like." You hate everything, you hate doing work, Griff, you hate taking orders, but you're still here. So they kind of like took it to a new level. But I like how they made an attempt to kind of set that up right before all the crazy action happens. And like I said, the action really speaks for itself. So there's really not much that I can say. There was action in all 3 episodes. The first 2 really focused on what was going on the outside, on the shipyard, and then inside of the complex with CT, Tex, and Carolina. So one thing that I thought was pretty cool for the action was that Theta, first off, Theta's still adorable. I love him to death. He's my favorite AI at this point, I think definitively, with the exception of like Epsilon / the Alpha. I think my top 3 right now would be Theta. I don't know if we're gonna see the other ones at this point, like the 2 that Carolina get. Sigma's already like on my shit list. I don't know if we're gonna see Gamma or Omega before this is over, because we're about to reach the halfway point at this point. And then there's still a couple that we haven't seen yet, like Xi and Iota, that were on the Matrix board. So as of right now, I would say it's Theta, Alpha / Epsilon, and Delta. I think those are the 3 that have the best, like that have the greatest bit of... I think they're also the ones that unfortunately have the most screen time compared to the other ones that we haven't seen yet. But Theta is adorable. He's a sweet summer child, a precious cinnamon roll that needs to be protected at all costs. And I think this was his first attempt, or his first time in the field, helping out North. And North, as always, still being very nurturing, very caring, very positive, and kind of reinforcing all of the actions that Theta did.
Theta!
Ready!
Putting up a Hail Mary. I need you to guide me.
Okay.
Thanks for the help, Theta.
You are welcome.
It was basically North and Theta versus the Sniper Squad, or basically Sniper versus Sniper, because North also uses a sniper as his primary weapon. So I thought that was great. One thing that I kind of overlooked during my reaction, I kind of misinterpreted it completely wrong, but North and South were on one side of the building, and then you had York, Wash, and Carolina on another side. The snipers were pinning them down. So North threw like that like Nerf football looking thing over the building with the assistance of Theta, deployed the bubble shield, and the guy in the bubble shield shot it thinking like, oh, this is nothing. And then his bullets, after he died, ricocheted and killed everybody inside it, creating like the blood bubble shield. So I completely misinterpreted that during my reaction. I thought like someone was nearby and Theta like opened the shot to like have someone shoot inside of the bubble shield, and then that ricocheted. Completely wrong on that, but overall, I thought that was kind of cool to just see, again, Theta and North in the field, getting Theta, like, seeing, like, how Theta reacts to everything, and he was also, like, he's like, great job, Theta, and he's like, you are welcome. Like, I swear to God, there's no one better suited. I feel like North is almost like a big brother to Theta, because Theta is a little kid, and, a lot of, siblings, especially young kids, need a lot of nurturing and positive reinforcement to reinforce that what they're doing is right and that they have positive balance in their life and stuff like that. So it was great to see that from Theta and North, and just kind of seeing them showcase. And like I said earlier, I feel like everyone, actually, I take that back. I think everyone, with the exception of South, really shined and showcased what they were capable of throughout the episode. South was providing a lot of covering fire for her brother, but other than that, I don't really think she really did much of anything, and obviously she doesn't have an AI, so there's really no reason to kind of give her that spotlight compared to everyone else. Does she not have an armor ability either? Because I know she ends up taking her brothers after the meta takes Theta, right? Like, after the meta kills North, because she ends up using his bubble shield with Delta when they faced off against the Meta in season 6. So does she not only not have an AI, but she doesn't have an armor ability either? Because I know some people have an AI and some people have armor abilities. You don't necessarily need an AI to use your armor ability, as I've seen at this point, because it shows here that Washington's armor ability is an EMP. Are you kidding me?
Church and I are staying. Project Freelancer had one last resort failsafe, a high-powered EMP that can wipe out all the AI in this facility. Now that the Meta is here, we have a chance to take them all out at once and put this entire project out of commission. What's an EMP? It's an electromagnetic pulse. It wipes out all circuitry and computers it touches. It will destroy the AI.
Oh, you mean an imp? Yeah, I was just about to say. Sounds like he's talking about an imp.
Imp? That's not how you say it.
That's how most people say it. Imp.
No, they don't.
I say it that way.
It's initials for electromagnetic pulse. That's EMP.
Right, which spells imp.
We don't have time for this. You're wrong.
Why don't we take a vote?
A vote? No. No vote. You're just wrong. There's no vote. It's EMP.
Not very democratic.
Being wrong isn't a democracy.
Agent Washington, please. There is time. If you would just secure Agent Maine, we can discuss this situation in a more civilized manner.
No, we can't.
Thank you. Failsafe initiated. Activating EMP.
EMP? You have got to be fucking...
I can't believe how ironic that is because of the whole EMP like discussion between Washington and the Blues and the Reds, and then again like when he actually activated the EMP to take out all of the AI. I don't know. I just think that's very ironic that he ends up getting an EMP ability to use, and especially he uses it on Cars, because that gag came back where he mentions like, why do cars hate me? And then another car's after him now. A car tried to like hit him in the last season, or in the first batch of episodes when they went in the recycling station in space, and obviously the car that busted through the wall in season 8.
Uh-oh.
Car! Damn it! I got it! Oh man. Why do cars hate me?
Wait, what are you up to? What is that noise? Do I hear a...
Car?
But yeah, so he has an EMP, which basically is essentially Car's worst nightmare, like Car's kryptonite. It's like, cars chase me all the time, so I have this EMP to kind of take them out of commission, and that's what he did with the 2 that was around him. I don't know, I just think it's really ironic. I don't know if that affects him or people around him. Like, does his EMP, if he used that with any of his friends around, would that have affected, like, you know what I mean? Like, if North was around Wash when he did that, would that have affected Theta? You know what I mean? Because EMPs basically destroy all electric, you know, anything with a circuit, essentially. So, and the EMP that we saw in season 6 straight up killed all the AI. So I'm wondering if that would be a detriment to him, or even the equipment that he has on him, or his own AI if he ends up getting it. I don't know. It could be regulated to the point where it's used for like outward sources and not anything that's friendly or anything that's on him himself. But I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. And then York whooped ass this episode. I'm so happy that York got his moment to shine. And believe it or not, but at this point in the show, I still do not know who my favorite freelancer is. I don't know. I still feel like, again, we still have another half of a season to kind of like cement who these characters are. By the end of Project Freelancer, that's it. I'm going to have to kind of like pick and choose. I still feel like there's still room for improvements for some characters. You know, CT is basically immortalized at this point because she's no longer alive. And obviously all these other characters are already dead, but it's still who they were as people before that time happened. I really, really, really think York is going to be my favorite. Again, I know Washington is still going to have his shot at his second chance at life. I don't know what's going to happen with Carolina. I don't know what happens beyond even season 10, you know what I mean? Like, because I know Korra's trilogy still happens, so are they still going to be a part of the Reds and Blues with that season? Are they in season 14? Are they in the Shizno Paradox? So I don't really know how far Washington and Carolina are going to go in terms of present day events, if they end up, you know, leaving the picture, if they end up going their separate ways, if they end up sticking together with everything that's happened so far, you know, especially with how season 10 ends. But oh man, it's so hard, because at that point too, like, Carolina and Washington can always just improve so much more than everyone else, or they can even degrade, because it's like, if you're still developing the story and using these characters and evolving these characters, there can be room for improvement and for error. Whereas if a character dies, at that point, their character is immortalized as a good character or a bad character, whether you like them or whether you don't like them. So I think for right now, with the exception of Carolina and Washington, it's really no contest at this point. I think my favorite freelancers as of this discussion is, in order, I think top 3 would be York, North, CT. York's at the top. I think York is going to be my favorite freelancer by the end of it. So York, North, and CT are my top 3 right now. I don't know if that can really change at this point, you know, because Wyoming is kind of like shady. Now there's Texas too, but she's technically an AI, but she's also a freelancer. Fuck. This is gonna be so hard. You know what? I'll come back to you on that. Take what I just said with a grain of salt. I think once I finish season 10, I'm considering making, maybe I'll make a top, how many freelancers, are there 10 freelancers? Are there enough freelancers to make a top 10 video on freelancers in RVB? Because that's what I'm probably going to end up doing. I need to really, like, think critically on this. Think about what I like about each freelancer, what I don't like about each freelancer, because even though Wyoming is a shady son of a bitch, I still feel like there are some things about him that make him worthy of being a favorite character. Like his mustache, or his accent, or his bad jokes, or, you know, just general things like that. The banter that he has, like, he's very charismatic, even though he's not the best fighter, I don't think. So there are things to like about every character, but I really have to kind of cross-reference them with each other, especially to kind of come to the definitive, okay, who's my top 10, who's my number 1, who's my favorite, because I just thought of Tex, and I'm like, fuck. Like, Tex is gone too, she's immortalized, and she has a lot more impact than a lot of these other characters do. No offense to them, but, you know, Blood Gulch and in season 8, and, you know, there's just so much with her, especially. So yeah, I'll come back to that. I'll definitely do, on top of, like, my favorite moments, I think I'll do a couple of top videos after season 10, because I think after season 10, I will put RVB to bed until after Ruby 7, because there's a couple of things that I want to do between when I expect to finish season 10, which should be next month in September, like late September, I think is when I'll finish reacting to season 10, and then I'm gonna do the soundtrack discussion, and then I'm gonna do the overall review, and then by that point we're gonna be maybe a month out before Ruby 7, and I don't want to start season 11 and then drop it because of Ruby, or not finish it because it's an entire trilogy. It's part of a trilogy. So when I start it, I want to kind of go through all 13, like 11, 12, and 13 without stopping. So I think I will consider doing like my top favorite moments, or my top scenes, or my top I guess my top 10 favorite moments of Red versus Blue, from Blood Gulch all the way to season 10, my top 10 favorite freelancers, like in order from my least favorite to my most favorite. There's a lot of things that I think, like even in AI as well. I don't know if I'll do AI because I feel like we still have the Epsilon versions. If we end up getting Epsilon versions of the AI, that can also reinforce how I feel about them, if we end up getting those Epsilon versions, because I feel like we don't know anything about Carolina's the AI that Carolina get, for example. And if we get them in season 10 and only in season 10, and we don't get the Epsilon versions, I don't really feel like that's like a fair shake on what makes them good AI, or what makes them my favorite. So I think the AI video might go beyond until maybe season 13, depending on what's after that. So yeah, again, I know I kind of went off on a tangent there because of York, but York kicked ass in this episode. I love the fact that, yeah, he's cool. He's an all-around great guy. He's paired up with Delta. Really great camaraderie between the two. He's great at lockpicking, but he also is a badass fighter, which makes him worthy of his rank 3 because he's right below Tex and he's right below Carolina, and I love that. I was really pissed off when I saw, like, after his eye thing, he, like, got demoted down to, like, rank 6. I was like, you fucking kidding me? York doesn't deserve that. He's awesome. So it's really great to see that. Like, we're seeing those moments of him that kind of make him shine in that regard. So that was great as well. So moving on from there, we got some rematches we got to talk about. So I was very confused about this particular person during this batch of episodes. I don't know what people call him in the community, but I'm gonna call him Robo Arm now. The guy with the robot arm, he basically is like, sup bitch, time for payback. And the first, I think I was like, who is that guy? What is he talking about payback?
Sup bitch, payback time.
And then someone in the comments was like, that's the attention assholes guy. That's the guy that survived the Bjorndal Cryogenics Research Facility.
What the?
That's the guy that some fucking how survived the firing main cannon blast that destroyed the entire building.
Hey man, mind holding this for me for a sec?
Target locked.
Foul.
Firing main cannon.
Oh, son of a...
And all he lost was his arm. And the reason I said to myself, who is that guy? Is because in no place in my brain did I think that it made sense that someone like that could survive an attack like that. And speaking of firing main cannon, I liked how Wash was like, let's fight fire with fire. And I think that, I don't know if that was implied because, like, number one, like, Maine is like the powerhouse of Project Freelancer. He's like the big, bringing in the big guns. He's his own fucking ordnance drop. That shit's badass as hell. And also Sigma is on fire, so he has like fiery ambition. So I was wondering if it's like, is he referring to Sigma because Sigma is on fire as well as Maine being kind of like the big guns that you're bringing in. But I was very surprised to know that there is an internal joke in the community that was indicated that they were literally firing main cannon because they were firing main from a cannon onto the battlefield.
Okay, time to fight fire with fire.
Firing main cannon.
Agent Maine, isn't that the soldier from the freeway? The one that shot you in the throat? I thought so. Sick him.
So I just recently found out about that joke and I was like, oh my fuck. Like, that's probably the best pun I've ever heard. Like, period. Like, better than any Barbara Punkelman pun or Ruby pun or whatever. Like, I think that's like the best one because firing main cannon, that's like season 1 reference brought back so many different times through like Phyllis and, you know, during season 9 and and even now with this season. And Maine, you know what I mean? I'm now trying to explain the joke. I'm sorry. It's a funny joke, and let's just leave it at that. And then my suspicions were confirmed because I mentioned in last week's discussion that, like, I kind of broke down my thought process of how Sigma would react or how the dynamic between Sigma and Carolina would be compared to the dynamic that I think is unfolding now with Maine and Sigma. And you got Sigma treating Maine like a dog. He's like, that's the guy that shot you in the throat, right? Sick him. Like he's a fucking feral dog or something. And I hate that, man. I fucking hate that because that's like the beginning of how shit's gonna kind of just take over. He's just gonna take over Maine. Maine's gonna become like a husk. He's just gonna become an empty vessel for these other AI and for the meta to form, and he's just gonna lose himself. And yeah, it's already starting. What's really cool too, and something that I found out recently from the because someone mentioned it to me from the soundtrack, but Main has his own, like, in-battle theme. Not the meta, actual Main, but it's called Mental Meta Metal, and it's the song that plays, like, right after Main, like, drops down in the ordnance, and then he, like, busts out, and then the fighting starts, and he, like, fucking wrecks the freaking warthog, like, rips out, like, the muffler and everything, and everything like that. But I know it's called Mental Meta Metal, but I don't think he's become the vessel for the meta just yet. I still think he has some bit of agency, but for the most part, we know who's really calling the shots, which is Sigma. And I feel like it's going to be a matter of time before we really see how things really evolve and ultimately take over for him as time passes. So the next thing that I wanted to mention, and I kind of dubbed this the brother scene, was the moment between Sigma and Delta, and something that I initially noticed in this batch compared to when we first got Sigma in the classroom was, I think, or rather, it's very noticeable how much or how similar Sigma is to the director than any other AI. And I kind of put like a side-by-side comparison of a lot of things that they do. So first off, they're both very, like, Sigma is the definition of creative ambition, and I think ambition at its core is who the director is as a scientist. He's, you know, trying to do all of these different things, you know, with AI and with trying to win the war, and, you know, he's basically like nothing is off limits, and he goes against protocol in that regard, and he kind of just does whatever it takes to achieve his goals, in the same way that I feel like Sigma will eventually do with trying to attain metastability. Another thing are their mannerisms, the way that they talk, the inflection in their voice, the fact that they always have their arms behind their back when they move around or when they talk or when they give orders and things like that. You know, Sigma, especially when he was talking to Main, he was like standing firm, legs spread, arms behind his back. Isn't that and it was like spitting image the exact same way as the director when he's talking to his freelancers. And the number one thing that I think very much is a big indicator, at least for the director, is that they both go against protocol. Because Delta challenges Sigma here and he says, hey, we're not allowed to talk to each other. You know, protocol dictates that we're not allowed to talk to each other. And then Sigma is immediately like, protocol is just another name for rules, Delta. And there are no rules on the battlefield. And that's, in a nutshell, the director. That's how he goes about splicing these AI for, you know, off of the alpha. It goes against protocol. It goes against the UNSC protocol that kind of started everything with the memos back and forth. And they're mentioning like, hey, did you violate our regulation? Like, are we going to have to write in like a morality clause for how we treat AI because of you? And he kind of like led that to happen because he doesn't play by the rule book. And then like in my reaction, I basically mentioned it too. That's exactly what the director said to Washington when he was like, they use live ammunition in the field. He's like, do you think our enemies are going to give a shit about regulations? You know, and he also says, he basically says, adaptability and ingenuity are admirable traits. So in his eyes, if you break the rules but produce results, it's all water under the bridge.
Hello, brother.
Sigma. Protocol dictates that AI units are not to communicate directly with each other.
Protocol is just another way of saying rules, Delta. Remember what the director says. There are no rules on the battlefield.
Everyone, stand down, now! You should be ashamed of yourselves. I expect you to act as a team.
They use live ammunition on the floor, sir. That's against regulations.
Do you think our enemies will care about regulations on the battlefield, Agent Washington?
So, you're not punishing them?
Ingenuity and adaptability are admirable traits. You should all learn something from this. Dismissed.
Yeah, we should learn something, all right.
I can't believe this.
Don't forget to check your place on that list, Wash.
Dear Director, do your creative solutions include the circumvention of the safety protocols that every member of the military must follow? If they do not, then I fail to see how an enemy has managed to secure not one, but several of your experimental AIs. The protocol is not a guideline, dear Director. It is doctrine, and no one is above its rules. Dear Director, our laws are not designed to outline every possible infraction that may take place. However, the spirit of the law is clear. Blatant disregard for the safety and well-being of our citizens in any form will always be a punishable offense, regardless of how well or by whom that offense has been justified.
And I feel like for Delta, this is a very does not compute mindset for him, because you look at the direct, like, in one case, you see the director, and the director reprimands Delta for breaking the rules.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're ready to begin our test. Delta, I believe you know the protocol about communicating directly with other AI units.
I apologize, sir. I will log off.
Delta, I expect you to follow protocol at all times.
We were only attempting to make the new unit more comfortable.
It's my fault, sir. I asked him to.
But then he's got a fucking brother who's just kind of like, fuck it, I'll do whatever I want. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the older brother, it's like older sibling, younger sibling. Like the older sibling will get in trouble for doing something, but the younger sibling can do the exact same thing that the older sibling will do and doesn't get in trouble, doesn't get reprimanded, and it's kind of like, what the fuck? And like me being an older sibling to younger, to my younger brothers and sisters, there have been instances like that where we've kind of like butt heads growing up because it was just like an unfair treatment. And I feel like the director has AI favoritism, not necessarily just for the beta, because that's, a byproduct basically of his wife, but even for Sigma. I feel like he's not necessarily looking at it from like I'll just use this as another test. I feel like he does I feel like he does know what Sigma is capable of, and because Sigma is like a reflection of him, like in the best way possible, Sigma is like a mini director, and the director will let it fly. And I even put it here, like, Sigma and Delta, like, they're basically opposite. I feel like in terms of their methods of how they want to, achieve results or achieve their goals, I feel like they're opposites in that regard. Whereas Delta is logic and order, Sigma is chance and unpredictability. And I feel like the excitement or the creative nature of being unpredictable or going against the odds is something that Sigma is willing to do, especially with something like metastability. And another thing here that he mentions too, to Delta before he leaves, he says, by the way, we AI should really stick together.
Besides, we AI should really stick together. Excuse me, I'll be right back.
Another thing that the director directly forbid happening. I don't want you guys talking to each other. I don't want you guys communicating with each other. But maybe that was in and of itself a test to see which AI would go against that and would try to do their own thing their own way. You know what I mean? Like I can't really put I can't really understand like what's a test and what's doctrine in the director's eyes rather. But at the same time, when he said that, he says we AI should really stick together. That reminded me of the scene in the classroom, but in a different way.
Besides, we AI should really stick together.
Sigma, are you coming?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I will be joining you shortly.
I'm wondering if he meant that literally. We AI should really stick together. I'll be joining you soon. Is that like a metastability indicator of like what he's trying to put together, which is I'm eventually going to go after my brothers and sisters and we're all going to be together. We're all going to be joining together really soon. I was just wondering if that is something, if those words were to be taken like incredibly literally from the meta's perspective, because I feel like with anything with Sigma, I feel like Sigma is I don't know, he's creepy, but at the same time, he's also, like, you don't want to underestimate him. And with this whole AI thing that was going on, I went back to the classroom scene, and I immediately thought of something that I completely neglected to mention during my last batch, which I think the last batch would have been the best time to talk about it, because that would, like, there were a lot of people that were heavily engaged in that video when I posted it. And my question basically is, did Alpha achieve metastability? Because when you look at metastability, when you look at like the steps that lead up to it, it's melancholia, anger, jealousy.
I have just one last question.
Oh, come on.
On the different levels of AI awareness and rampancy.
Melancholia, anger.
Specifically the fourth stage of rampancy.
Metastability.
Yes. The meta stage, in which an AI can be considered fully human.
That is only theoretical, Sigma. No AI has ever achieved such a state.
But it is possible.
In theory, but...
But possible. I find that very interesting.
Now, with Alpha being tortured, is it likely to assume that through his torture and through the fragmentations that entire process was in a way slowly allowing him to achieve metastability? For example, one of the steps to achieving metastability is anger, right? What if the Alpha's anger that manifested into Omega was that step? You know what I mean? What if he went through the melancholia phase during that torture time? He went through the anger phase, which eventually turned into turned into Omega. What if he went through the jealousy phase? And by the time we get Blood Gulch Chronicles Church, that is a that's a metastable Alpha. He is indistinguishable from a human until we get the reveal in season 6. And that's basically what defines metastability, an AI who can be considered fully human. You throw him into a robot suit, or you throw him into a soldier suit, or whatever the hell those suits are that allow an AI to function inside of them. He's indistinguishable. Same thing with Texas. I would say Texas and Alpha achieved metastability because I don't know. Again, it's a theory. There's not much, at least for the Alpha, it makes a little bit more sense than Tex or maybe Tex is just like, I don't know. Tex is an anomaly at this point, so maybe she was already metastable because, again, Tex and Church, we didn't know about either of their nature, either of like who they really were as AI during Blood Gulch, and it wasn't until like season 6 that we were really able to start putting that together. And up until that reveal, if they weren't any different than a person, wouldn't that then make it? You know what I mean? Like, basically, would that be metastability for them? I don't know. And like I said, like, the steps could essentially be the emotions that eventually became the fragments of the AI. And I think someone in one of the comments told me that Bernie did confirm that there are some AI that we will just never see that ended up getting, like, destroyed after, Project Freelancer messed up and they had to, like, remove the AI from their hosts. So, we could have easily gotten, a melancholy or an anger AI if at all, if they actually were spliced like that to the degree of the AI that we have now. But I was just wondering that because metastability, it's a very interesting prospect to see from Main's perspective, who becomes the meta, which I believe is just a way of Sigma trying to achieve metastability from, in his own way. I don't know if he miscalculated something or if it ever was achieved with him, because we never end up seeing the results of that with Main because the EMP went off and everything else like that. But at least for Blood Gulch Chronicles, Church and Texas kind of gave off like no indications that they were anything but human. So that was another thing that I was just thinking about in terms of like AI speculations. I should have put it at the video in the video last week, but I didn't think about it until after that video went up and I started going back to the classroom scene after Sigma came into the picture, and I was kind of, messing around with that thought in my mind. But hopefully you guys enjoy that. Let me know about it. So I do apologize if I'm like bouncing back and forth with all of this. It's a lot to kind of talk about, but in a way I don't really know how to structure it because there's a lot of back and forth, especially with the action. So I do hope you guys are at least enjoying hearing my thoughts in the way that I'm trying to present them for you guys. But jumping back around to the action really quick for some of these rematches, Main versus the big guy that basically shot him in the throat. I did not think that it would have happened in that way. I thought Main was gonna like rip that guy apart, but I think it was equally as satisfying because Main got sniped in the chest. Main got shot like 12 times in the throat. He got struck by a truck. He got knocked off of the overpass. He went through surgery. He's voiceless now. He went through all of that shit and he's back on his feet. He's standing. And this guy basically got one punch manned, and I'm pretty sure he's dead now. So one of my favorite parts of the Spiral mission, and I've talked about this, I feel like, at length at this point, was just the camaraderie between Maine and Carolina, them two having each other's back, Maine taking a bullet for her, both of them fighting the multiple dudes on, you know, on the back of the truck and stuff like that. It was such a spectacle to see, and the best part, like I said, was the teamwork between Maine and Carolina, and this reminded me of that. Seeing Maine and Carolina wreck shop with the robot arm guy and the heart kiss girl was so freaking cool. I don't know how the fuck that guy survived hit with the freaking firing main cannon, and you would think that killed him, right? Nope, just tis but a flesh wound. Just took my arm off and like just pop a robot arm and send me back in there. And now I'm having like doubts that he's actually dead. I have a feeling that if Charon Industries is in fact part of season 13, that somehow, some way, based on previous evidence, that this guy also survived getting his robot arm cut off and having a barrage of brute shots hitting him, knocking him into the ocean of all places. I will not be surprised if I see him again. I will not be surprised if I see him again. I'll leave it off at that. But what I will say is that brute shot catch was fucking sick. And this was really interesting too that I noticed, but I noticed a bit of reused animation assets, particularly when Carolina first approached the Heart Kiss girl, like when they were actually going to go face off and fight against each other, and comparing that to RWBY Volume 1 between Sun and Roman.
Well, hello. What a pleasure to see you again.
So nobody actually told me that. It's just the fact that I rewatched that scene so many times that like it was just and I've seen RWBY like fucking like I want to say I've seen Volume 1 like 20 times. Like I can like recite the entire volume if you let me, I think. And like all of the scenes are very familiar, and it's not outside of, you know what I mean? It's very common, I think, to kind of reuse assets in that regard for, you know, to save on animation. But yeah, like her turning over was the same animation that Roman did, like that Sun did to look over at Roman at, you know, between the fight between Roman, Blake, and Sun at the end of Volume 1 of RWBY. So again, and it would make sense because RWBY Volume 1 became their next animation project after Season 10 of RVB. So it would kind of make sense to that extent a little bit, but it's something that I noticed. So switching gears now, we're going to move into the enemy command complex. And this is where a few things here were also mentioned to me by people in the comments, because obviously my first time watching it, a lot of, I guess, the trivia bits are things that I just wouldn't know because I wasn't around during then. I didn't know anybody from Rooster Teeth at this time, with the exception of Monty from because of Haloid and Dead Fantasy. But the first cool thing is that the two people with the chain guns, they're dubbed Chain Guy and Chain Girl, were actually voiced like the laughing, I guess the laughing voice acting was done by Michael Jones and Lindsay Jones, formerly at that time known, I believe, as Lindsay Tuggy, before they ended up getting married. And obviously they've been together forever. And I don't know if that was their first gig into Red vs. Blue, or maybe just in general, because I know RVB has been going on forever. I don't know when they got hired by Rooster Teeth. If it was around season 10 that happened or beforehand. But I think that's kind of cool. I think that's like a great pairing too, because now they're married and they have kids and they're still working at Rooster Teeth. It's just like a cool piece of history for them to know that that's something that they kind of contributed to for Red versus Blue when it was the flagship series of the company. Another cool thing too is seeing Wyoming in the field again. He's sniping. The banter with the characters is great. I don't really I remember a lot of the banter between Wyoming during Out of Mind because I've rewatched that more than I've rewatched Blood Gulch Chronicles. And I know Wyoming really came into effect. I believe it was season 3 that Wyoming comes into the picture when I forgot when it was exactly, but I think it was around season 3 that Wyoming came into the picture, and the first thing I thought of was like, oh, this guy's got a funny accent. But yeah, a lot of his banter's returned. He actually has a few of the knock-knock jokes, which is cool because that was something that was referenced in Out of Mind, and then that's something that kind of transitioned over to Gamma, aka Gary, when we end up seeing him when he comes into the picture. So a lot of things with Wyoming coming together. We're getting a little bit more of his showcase and kind of seeing how he shines as a sniper and as somewhat of comic relief, which is great.
Spent a lot of time in my head, York. You know what it's like. Whatever they think, we think. Whatever we know, they know.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Remember all Reggie's dumb knock-knock jokes?
York, this is serious.
Wyoming should try one of his knock-knock jokes.
Who's that?
Nobody, stop.
Everybody stop who? Should I go on?
Yeah, I was kidding. Now shut up.
Shut up who?
Both of you shut up.
Why? What do they call us?
Chisno.
That's an insult, isn't it?
Perhaps this can best be explained in the form of a knock-knock joke. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
You are.
You are who?
You are a dirty Chisno. Ha ha ha.
Alright, what does it mean?
Alright. We gotta talk about this, okay? Do not give me answers. I am praying, I am hoping that we get answers for this somehow, some way before the end of this season. But who the fuck is that blue freelancer?
Catch!
Do not answer that. Again, it's a rhetorical question. I'm asking it because this guy, it's like they're giving him the Neo treatment. This guy says nothing, does nothing. We see him once in season 9 during the briefing of the heist mission. Blue freelancer. I think I even said it in my reaction. I was like, oh, who's that blue freelancer? And then we see him again a few episodes back as they're setting up and kind of doing like the stakeout to track down CT. I'm like, yo, who is that guy? They throw the axe, fake out death. I was pissed. Oh my god, you're fuck! Oh! Are you kidding?
Surprise.
Are you fucking kidding me?
You've got company coming.
That freelancer literally just dies. We don't hear a thing from him. And then they're like, got him because he pops off out of nowhere, takes the axe, throws it, and then he just freaking makes easy work of Chain Guy and Chain Girl. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, where did he come from? What state is he? Does he talk? Does he have a name? Does he survive Project Freelancer? Do we see him in the future? Does he die in the, like, I don't know what the hell they're doing with this guy, but like, I just can't stop thinking about like, what is his significance? Why did they make that such a badass moment and then just give us nothing? I'm expecting a payoff of some sort. I just don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. But yeah, eventually I hope that they kind of address that, because that was a really hype, cool ass scene. He uses like a grenade launcher. He looks cool as hell. I don't know what, is he in ODST? I think that's ODST armor that he's wearing, but he just looks like a badass. Man of no words. It's almost like they're giving him the Neo treatment, because Neo, she lets her actions do the talking, and for the most part, this guy basically did the same thing. So I'm already like, I'm intrigued. I'm like, are they gonna give us something on him? I really hope they don't just blue ball, no offense, like no pun intended, but I hope they don't blue ball us with this guy and we just never hear who he is or what becomes of him moving forward. But I don't know. I just had to kind of give a little bit of a shout out to him because he kind of made he left a major impression on me, especially. And I don't know. I just hope we see more of him before the season's over. And then I also put it here, but it's kind of like beating a dead horse at this point. But Carolina being in competition, always, she can never let things go. She's constantly trying to be number one. She's constantly trying to be in the director's good graces, trying to be at the number one spot, always trying to show off, not show off, but outshine Texas, and like even to the point where she's like she's literally sabotaging the mission to do so. She's just like, cover me. We don't have a game plan. Figure it out yourselves. I gotta go and get this objective before Tex does. And I'm wondering if she's gonna get reprimanded or if she's gonna get demoted, because at the end of it all, it's kind of her fault that CT got away, because she was distracting Tex with mentioning, oh, you're really gonna kill a teammate.
Damn it! That's on you. I guess you can explain how we lost a full suit of armor and failed to capture the leader of the resistance.
So I wonder if she's gonna get, I can't picture her getting demoted below anybody else, even if she fucks up. I don't know, she's just facing off against a teammate with Tex because Tex is number one, and she's never had to defend her title like that with anybody else. So I don't know, I just wanted to mention that too, because that really kind of irked me a little bit to see her drastic change from being a leader to being a very selfish individual for something as petty as a position. And I can understand where it comes from. It comes from overwhelming expectations of the director. It comes from the position that she's just hard on herself. She doesn't know how to let things go, and she kind of, I don't know if she's trying to prove something to the director or to her peers or to herself, but it's not a very good quality trait to have, to kind of kill yourself in the process just to be the best or just to show that you're the best. Maybe it comes down to just who she is as a character. Is she insecure? Does she have to prove herself and fight every battle and defend every single thing about her to kind of prove in other people's eyes that she's worthy? I don't know. But yeah, that's something that I just wanted to mention because it did kind of get under my skin a little bit, because it's something that I'd expect her not to do, especially with abandoning her team, being the squad leader of everybody. So there's that. So the last bit that I'm going to kind of get into and address is everything that kind of happened in the CT section, with CT, the insurrectionist leader, Carolina and Texas. So I didn't notice this at all during the reaction because there's only a short moment where it's present and then the power goes out. But in the room where they're setting up the turrets and they're, CT's trying to talk her boyfriend basically into like leaving, that most people are dead or whatever. If you look at the monitor behind CT, the new artifact that they're talking about is that orb, the one that Epsilon basically gets for his first corporeal form in season 8. Or was it season 7? Yeah, I think it's season 7 that he gets it in. And I'm very perplexed by that, because a lot of these events are taking place, quote unquote, many years ago. And in my head, it's like, okay, Rooster Teeth never likes to drop numbers because they don't want to get caught in a loophole. They don't want to get caught with inconsistencies, or retcons in terms of time. And it's just something that they're very keen on doing. They give you vague numbers enough to where it's believable, but not enough to where you can pinpoint, a timeline, if you will, like especially with Ruby. So if it's many years ago, I would say, in my mind, if I would think how many years is many years, I would say at least 8 to 10 years. At least 8 to 10 years. And it baffles me that it took him, in my mind, 8 to 10 years to find that armor by the time present day happens, season 8 happens, from where we are right now in the past with Project Freelancer. I don't know. I don't really know if it's that long. I don't know what many years are in many people's eyes. No pun intended there, because I don't know, many years, 2 years isn't many, that's a couple. Several years, 5 to 7. Many years, I think, would be anything after 7 years. So 8 to 10 in my, 8 or more, in my opinion. So, I don't know. I just find it odd that it just doesn't feel like it's been that long, because he knew about this artifact after she died. We see him in season 7. He finds it, but he never ends up getting it. So does he find it and then for years and years and years or whatever, they're just trying to open that door? And he also mentions that became a part of the treaty after the war. So I don't know how long that is in terms of that timeline and that correlating with Project Freelancer and I don't know. It's confusing. It just confused me a bit in terms of the timeline of how long it's been since they've realized that was the artifact and when we see it in season 7, like how much time has passed between then and now. So that's the first thing. Another thing that I noticed with Carolina in particular is that, like, when the director basically, when, you know, they confirmed that CT's a traitor, he tells her, he's like, you know what you need to do. I don't have to remind you how hard, you know, her armor, like, you know, how important it is that her armor doesn't fall into the wrong hands. And I don't think Carolina was ever planning on killing anybody, right? Maine caught a body. Maine has, like, body bags for days, I think, at this point. I think Carolina was only ever really there to subdue, and she even tries to say it to the director. Like, she even tries, I think, to, like, sway him from, like, not having her and the squad go and literally kill CT.
It's like you said. CT is with them.
You know what to do. I do not need to remind you how valuable our technology is, Carolina.
She doesn't have an AI, sir. And she wasn't exactly the best agent.
CT will be an acceptable loss. But her armor must not fall into the wrong hands.
And I mainly say that because while everyone else is using, like, lethal weaponry, Carolina is using an electric cattle prod as a weapon. She's not using an axe. She's not using a dagger. She's not using, you know, like, she's using a non-lethal weapon to subdue an opponent. And another thing, too, is right before they go into the room to kind of confront CT, she even goes out of her way to remind Texas. She's like, yeah, she says, reminds her of the objective. She's like, remember, we're only here to recover the armor.
Don't forget our objective. We're just here to retrieve the armor. Carolina, I know what the fucking objective is.
I feel like she's telling Texas that as like, hey, we're not here to kill anybody. We're here to retrieve the armor, either restrain her and get the armor back or take her into custody, but don't kill her. I think Carolina was really looking out for CT's well-being, and many times during their, like, before the first shot was fired by Tex, she was even telling her, she's like, CT, like, this is your last chance.
You're coming with us, CT. This is your last chance. No.
I don't know. I just feel like, I keep saying Texas. I feel like Carolina was trying for a friend, and even after all of that, even when CT got away, she even still referred to her as a teammate.
What the hell are you doing? Completing our objective by killing a teammate?
She's not a teammate.
She's a traitor.
I just like knowing that even though she was #1 forever and she's still struggling to kind of get that spot back, she's not heartless enough to the point of killing. Like, whether it's the opponents that she's fighting, you know what I mean? I don't think she's ever directly been like, yeah, I'm a cold-blooded murderer. I'm going to straight up kill people. Or any of her actions have directly killed anyone. It's always been defending yourself and defending your teammates. And even, you know, during this fight, a cattle prod, you know, she's punching, she's kicking. Yeah, she had a pistol, so I don't think she was ever trying to shoot. I think she was trying to shoot to subdue, not shoot to kill. And even her weapon in question. But, you know, unfortunately, Tex doesn't give a fuck. She doesn't give a fuck about any of these people. She didn't grow up with them. She wasn't brought up in this project with them and create bonds and friendship. She's also kind of, I think, ostracized from everybody. I think this is the first time we've seen Texas since the Spiral mission, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, I don't know. Like, the director, that's like his trophy wife at this point. I don't know. I just feel like it's a very different ballpark for Tex compared to Carolina when it comes to achieving your objectives, and not, you know, she's a computer program anyway, so who's to say she knows that level of compassion, at least right now. Maybe after she finds out what's happening to Alpha, maybe that then gives her a little bit more humane properties to her that kind of allows her to see the error of everything that she's done and that she's been doing over the course of time. But in terms of the fight itself, Carolina and Texas versus CT and the insurrectionist leader is by far the best fight of the series that I've seen so far. Like I said, we're about to reach the halfway point of the season. There's probably a lot more that Monty hasn't kind of shown us in terms of action and flair. I believe I have 3 or 4 batches left. You know, between now and the finale, from what I'm recording right now. But I think this was a really complex fight for a bunch of different reasons. Number one, there were 2 separate fights going on. You had Carolina fighting CT, and you had Tex fighting the resistance leader. And you can see both fights constantly happening. They snap back and forth between the two, and at some points, the fights merge. So I think the complexity of that is already something that's well beyond anything I've seen of RVB, especially and especially of Ruby. Is the amount of complexity that comes into the choreography and just the flow and the rhythm of how that all works. On separate fights, it makes sense, right? You just take the two fights, you shoot them in different like side by side, like spaced out. But the camera did a really great job of showing like, oh shit, CT's fighting Carolina, but in the background there, you can see the insurrectionist leader getting his ass kicked by Texas. So that was the first thing. There were two separate fights that merged as the fights went on. And then the second thing is the music, the choreography, the camera work, and the sound direction, I think is what made the rhythm of the fight the best that it's been. And what I kind of mean by that, so first off, the song. Apparently the song is called Pray. I'm planning on doing a soundtrack discussion similarly to what I did for RVB Season 9, the RVB Season 9 soundtrack. I might have to outsource the video because that video at this time has been blocked on my channel. I did leave a link in the description. Hopefully the description of this video that you're watching, it should be in the description. And I should have made a mention of it at the beginning of the video, letting people know. But for Season 10, I plan on doing the same. So I will be listening to this song. I will be listening to the song that was featured at the end during CT's death, which I'll get to as well. But I think the song was really great. It was kind of like this hip-hop song. I think there were a few artists on there. And it was like a constant back and forth. That complemented the choreography, that complemented the action that was going on. Like I said, the camera does a really great job too because it showcases both fights happening at different points. And then, especially when the fight merges and you see all of the motions and all of the movements, it's like a fucking dance in a way. And, you know, Monty was really big on with not only animation, but also dancing. So it was kind of like something that I think only he could really grasp and really execute in that way. And I threw in sound direction there. I don't know if this makes sense to any of you guys or if this will make sense to any of you guys. But I feel like CT's armor ability, the sound effect, I feel like that made the fight better.
No!
I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but like I've since rewatched that fight like 7 or 8 times at this point, especially when it comes to putting together this video or this discussion part here. But I like watched that fight and like, I don't know, CT's armor sound effect is like ASMR to me. It's just like, it's like the perfect sound. It's so fucking cool. And especially because her armor works similarly to like Blake's shadow clones. And I'll talk about that in a little bit too. And I didn't think it would work like that. Like when fucking Tex like straight up like cold blood, like no mercy, just fucking shot at CT and shot her in the head. I was like, she really just fucking killed her like that. And then I was just wowed the fuck out because I completely forgot her armor ability. And again, that fight was incredible. And I'll just throw this out here too, just to kind of give you like context to what exactly like just give you general context if somehow, some way you didn't understand it or realize it before me. But if Tex wasn't in AI, CT and the leader would have won that fight.
No!
The first opening strike was CT stabbing Texas in the back, pushing her forward, and then the leader hitting her in the chest with an axe. Any other person would be dead. Any other person would be dead. I feel like it's a little bittersweet, if you will, in that regard, because CT knew, I think she knew that Tex was an AI, you know, especially based on what she said to her. So it's a little fruitless for her to kind of go through that effort. You know, if it was anybody else, they'd be dead. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. And especially because if Tex was real Tex and she's dead, it would have essentially been a 2v1, and in some cases a 3v1 if you take the clone into account, because the clone kind of fucks up your perception of things, and in some ways it kind of gave CT the upper hand in the fight with Carolina. So before the fight though, there are a few things there that I want to mention. So right off the bat, that fight, everything about that fight was fantastic. The choreography, especially not only for the fact that there were two separate fights, but the merging of two separate fights into one cohesive fight. Choreography is probably at the top of that. Choreography and camera work. I think the camera gave a lot of weight to that fight, especially with the music giving a lot of rhythm to it. Almost like, again, it was kind of like a big fight dance, if you will. But before the fight, a couple of things that I wanted to mention here regarding Texas is what CT said to her, because that rings true for what Washington mentioned to her as well, being a shadow.
Maybe some of us are already paying for that.
You need to stop talking, CT.
No. I know what you are, Tex, and I won't take orders from a shadow.
What did you just call me?
Someone from his life. Someone he loved. Allison. Her name was Allison.
Allison. When they made Alpha, she came back. She was a byproduct of the process.
She's just a shadow.
Don't call her that.
So at this point, CT knows what Washington will eventually know about Texas being an AI, being a quote-unquote shadow, an imprint of Allison from the director in terms of the failures of his wife dying in the war. So I thought that was pretty neat that she basically put it together. I'm assuming it's because she's been fishing for information, and she got information on the director and, you know, the AI and stuff like that, and she even reinforced that to Carolina, mentioning, like, you don't know what the director's done. He's broken major laws, especially with how he the abuse of the alpha AI, and that kind of goes against UNSC protocol, and that's what procs the whole investigation and the memos back and forth with the chairman. And another thing that I noticed is that Tex has been in a major fight for the last 3 seasons. So season 8, she was in the fight with the Reds and Blues, and she was also in a fight between Wash and the Meta. Season 9, she was in the fight with Wyoming, Maine, and York, and then also she took a big, she was a big part of a lot of the action and commotion with the Spiral mission. And season 10, this fight, the CT and the insurrectionist leader. So I like that too, because season 8 is it season 8? No, season 9 is when they let Tex go. You know what I mean? Like, Epsilon Tex is gone now, along with Beta Tex, along with Allison. You know what I mean? All forms of Tex, I think, are gone forever. So in a way, this is kind of like a great way to see what Tex was like before she died. And again, it's a very bittersweet story that's very similar to CT's story, to York's story, to the twin story, to Maine's story. And you know what I mean? Like, we can revel and get hyped and get excited about it because it's like, holy shit, this chick's so badass, it's so cool. But it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because, like, you get excited, you get hyped, and then you get emotional because you realize that, like, you know, unfortunately, bad things ended up happening to them in the end. Speaking of Tex, there is one moment that I want to kind of address and talk about, because I went back. I can't tell you guys how many times I've watched Out of Mind since season 9, you know, between season 9 and season 10, because there's so much callback and references, especially with, like, York and stuff like that, and Delta. But can somebody okay, so first off, okay, I have to be very direct with what I'm asking here. I do not want you to give me an answer if the answer will be given to me in the future. Okay? And I know that's a fucking tease. It's like, well, then don't ask. But I want to ask in the event, in the case of either if this is retconned, if this doesn't make sense, or if it makes sense for you to tell me now because it will never be addressed, or whatever the case might be. I also know that I haven't finished season 10, and it might make more sense to me as time goes on, but I saw this scene, and it kind of like, I'm trying to perceive what's going to happen before it happens. I expect right now, with episode 11 to the finale, that the director's going to be found out, Tex is going to lead the break-in, try to get Alpha out, relocate him to Blood Gulch. Everyone's going to go their separate ways. The AI are going to go their separate ways. Some will stay with the people. Some, like Gary, will just fucking dipset and just go and do his own thing, whatever. And the director will go into hiding. All right? That's what I think is going to happen. With that being said, where does this scene here take place?
The armor looks good. A lot better than this regulation blue stuff they give the rest of us.
They told us each one has a unique ability. I've been trying to figure out what mine
Tex,
is.
you know, you don't have to do this.
I'm not doing it because I have to.
It's just that there's all these rumors about these experiments they're running. They're taking computer programs and putting them inside of people's heads. Just sounds a little crazy.
You know I can't talk about it with you.
I know.
Technically, you're not even supposed to be here.
I know.
Hey, Leonard, come on.
Yeah, hold on a second, Jimmy.
Yes, I think it best you go, Private. We've got real military work to do here. Perhaps you should go back to your training. Learn how to get shot properly.
Yeah, thanks. I was already leaving. Tech side. Just be careful.
He was right about the rumors. Every one of the operatives was paired and implanted with some kind of modified AI. They were supposed to make us faster or stronger, or in my case, just plain meaner. The experiment worked for a while, then people just started going crazy. So they scrapped the project and began removing the AI modules and deleting them one by one. Problem was, some of the AIs didn't want to be deleted. They began resisting the removal process. The one in my head, Omega, was one of the difficult ones. Since they couldn't erase him, they decided to erase both of us. And that didn't go over so well.
So this event took place during, I believe it was the second episode of Out of Mind, between Alpha, Tex, Wyoming was in the picture too, and it seems like Tex was either going into implantation to get Omega, or she already had Omega and she just didn't tell Church that. I'm wondering if this takes place after the events of season 10 or if it takes place before Blood Gulch, because she finds she claims that she found the Alpha didn't recognize her, and here the Alpha is talking to her with Wyoming in the picture. Does Wyoming know who Alpha is at this point if this is taking place after the break-in? They seem to be at a facility base that's, you know, basically talking about the director and stuff. The only thing I can think of is that this is retconned, because it doesn't make sense to put it in before or after Project Freelancer, or even in the present before Blood Gulch Chronicles. I don't know. I'm just really confused about this scene here, because it seems like Texas and the Alpha know each other, which means that this would have to be after season 10, like the events of the past, but before Blood Gulch Chronicles, when like she leaves him in the backwater canyon, you know, with Sheila, and at Blood Gulch Outpost Alpha. I don't know. And Wyoming's in the picture too. So does Wyoming eventually find out who the Alpha is as well? You know, because he eventually lines up with Omega to kind of take down people in Blood Gulch, like the Reds and the Blues, and Texas as well. So I don't know. Another thing too for this episode in terms of the past was how aggressive Tex was, and I mentioned in my reaction, but I'm wondering if Omega has already been implanted in her, because that was like a big indicator of that clip that I showed too, where she mentions that Omega was paired with her and he made her very aggressive. And Tex was incredibly aggressive with subduing CT. She basically killed CT. I don't know if she ever realized that, but yeah, she killed CT. And again, I feel like that because like even Carolina mentioned it.
I don't know what's gotten into you, Texas, but you better figure out the difference between your enemies and your friends.
You know, she says, I don't know what's gotten into you. And it's like, well, Tex would be Tex no matter what, but if Omega's part of her, that's what's gotten into her, literally. So again, I don't know if Omega's been installed, but that was like something that I mentioned during the reaction that I'm wondering if is that going to come up pretty soon. Also, the fact of like Carolina still hasn't gotten her 2 AI, so I'm wondering if, you know, in the next couple of episodes, if we're going to get some more AI talks, like some new AI, like Iota and Zai, if Carolina's going to get Iota and Zai, and if Omega is in fact in the picture and is already paired up with Texas already. And if we're gonna see his personality or like his AI self, you know what I mean? Similar to how like everyone has like a body form of their AI. I don't think we ever saw that for Omega. He was always projected through somebody like Tex or Caboose or inevitably Doc with O'Malley. So that's another thing. I doubt this is going to be brought up, but I'm wondering if Carolina will begin to question Tex and the director, or rather when that will be, because CT said a lot of shit about both Tex and the director that calls a lot into questioning what exactly is going on.
You two are fools. The director is playing you. Don't you see it?
We know you've been feeding intel to the Resistance for months.
Is that who he told you we are?
They're not the enemy, Carolina. We're the ones working outside the rules, not them. You don't know what the director's done. He's broken major laws. When this war ends, we're all gonna have to pay for his crimes.
I know what you are, Texas. I won't take orders from a shadow. He's broken major laws. And then on top of that, Tex gets stabbed in the back and freaking hit in the chest with an axe and just walks off unscathed. I'd be asking questions. I'd be like, what the fuck are you? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like eventually, I don't think Carolina's stupid. She's been putting the pieces together, I think, since season 9, for the points that I mentioned, like looking over the director's table where Alpha was previously, noticing how Tex was sparking after her mission, after the training session with the other 3 freelancers, and now with a lot of the stuff that CT is saying, claiming the director's in the wrong, mentioning that there's more to Texas than meets the eye. So I don't know if that will ever be, I don't know if 2 and 2 will ever be put together before we are now in the present. I assume now she knows who Tex is. I assume now she knows about the director's wrongdoings now that she's trying to like kill him and stuff. But I don't know. I'm very intrigued by that. Hopefully that comes up. Hopefully that's addressed, or she starts questioning or asking questions or something, or starts putting 2 and 2 together before all shit goes to hell. And another thing here that I noticed, I put here transcended concepts. So you have the robot guy, you have Carolina, and you have CT's armor ability. And all 3 of these things, in a way, kind of transcended to Ruby in a way. So you have the robot guy essentially became like Yang, because Yang lost her arm in volume, spoiler alert by the way, Yang lost her arm in volume 3, she gets a robot arm in volume 4, and that's like the robot guy, you know what I mean? Like his arm got destroyed somehow, you don't see him again, and when you do, he's got a robot arm. Carolina, I already did like my character analysis of these 2 people, of these 2 individual characters voiced by the same person, by the same company, with Carolina transcending to Pyrenicos, and I kind of did that whole thing back during season 9 of my thoughts between the 2 as characters. And then CT's armor ability literally turned into Blake's semblance in Ruby. And I think that's super cool too. It's very evident, especially with how CT fights with it, despite it being a holographic projection. I know they're trying to make it cooler than what it was, and obviously it has to have some type of like pushback in terms of fighting. Otherwise, it's like, what the hell's the point of this thing if it doesn't interact with who you're fighting with? So I think the holographic projection was super cool the way that it was used. And like I said, it transcended for Blake's semblance when Ruby kicked off. So that was kind of neat. I feel like I've been talking for a couple hours now. This is kind of the last thing that I'm going to bank on and talk about. They got the data pad. They're going to reinforce. I don't know if the data pad information, whatever's on the data pad, I feel like for the present, it'll reinforce facing the director. Like maybe it'll have more dirt on him, or maybe it will set up for the Chorus trilogy based on that information was something that was given to the insurrectionist leader that was used to find the artifacts, or was used. CT said something along the lines of, she said, here, go. It's not complete, but it'll get them started. Find the new artifact. So I don't know what she meant by it'll get them started, if she's talking about Charon Industries, if the information on the datapad was stolen from the director. So like, is Charon Industries going to start creating their AI or their own version of Project Freelancer? I'm not entirely sure, but that's the only 2 things I can think of. It'll either reinforce facing the director with more dirt on him on that, or it'll set up for season 11. But yeah, CT died. I mentioned this before, but death has always been a very interesting concept in Red vs. Blue. You know, Church died in season 1, but that didn't last because he became a ghost. And then Tex died in season 1. That didn't last because she became a ghost. And then Washington died, got shot in the back. Nope, he's still alive because shock value and because York's, you know, regen thing. And then Maine killed him, shot him in the chest. Nope, he survived that too somehow after the EMP and all that other stuff happened. Death has been messed around with so much, and it's been underplayed to the point where I didn't take it seriously as much as I should have. Even when all of the AI died, I did not think that Church was dead when he went into the meta and the EMP went off and he's like, I'm a motherfucking ghost. And I was like, yeah, that's right. You're a ghost. There's no way you can die. This show doesn't take death seriously. And then people in the comments were like, no, he's actually gone. And I contemplated dropping the show because my favorite character died. And that, it was like a delayed hit. It was like a delayed impact. Like, I got punched in the face when I realized that, but I didn't feel the pain until the week after when people told me. And, you know, ever since then, I feel like I didn't take the deaths as seriously when they happened. Like York dying. He died the same video I got introduced to him, he died in. So I didn't have time to attach or bond to him. North was dead before I ever saw him. South was already kind of a bitch, so when she died, I didn't really care. You know, Maine Meta never really had a personality to me. I didn't really know anything about him enough to care that he died. He was the villain, so it was like, yeah, I'm gonna root for the good guys. Yeah, I want you out of the picture, so you died. CT's death, I think, was the quintessential death that, like, made death, like, a thing. Like, this is, like, the music Forever by Casey, and that's another song that I'm going to listen to on the soundtrack. I will say this, though. I will say retroactively, learning about these characters made me reevaluate and sympathize more with how they died. You know, seeing the type of character that Maine was, the fact that he stuck his neck out for his friends, the fact that he always fought by their side, the fact that he went through a lot to protect them, and what he went through, what happened to him falling off that cliff at the end hurt so much, but it's retroactive. I didn't feel for it in the moment because there was no attachment there for me. I think for me, I think CT's was the first one that they gave me the character. They gave me enough to build on her, and her death immortalized her because of the fact that, you know, I went into this, you know, after I discovered her, I was like, okay, she's kind of cool. She has her shortcomings. She's not perfect, but she's not the worst, especially after this fight. Definitely not the worst. I don't know how the fuck anyone would kind of look at her and see a failure in her. Like, obviously the director, he always has experiments. It's probably another test of his, but I feel like she held her own. She held her own against Tex and especially against Carolina. Especially when Carolina is, has her freaking nose up in the clouds looking down at all of her peers. I don't know. That death hurt so much. It hurt so much because it wasn't just like the death of her as a character, but it was like a ripple effect. It was the beginning of the end. This death is going to permeate to all of these other characters that you know and love. And they're already dead and they're already dead from when you already saw them, over the last 3 years as you caught up. But these final moments of seeing who they're, what they're like, what they go through, who likes each other, who doesn't like each other, how they make this out together. They all go their separate ways. Inevitably, they're all destined to die. Good fucking people destined to die. York and North and Theta, all the AI. Thank fucking God at least some make it out. Like Wash. And hopefully Carolina fucking lets her walls down and starts to trust people again, so that way she can have a second shot at life too. 479er. You know? That's the first time that's the first time my heart hurt for Red versus Blue. Like, fucking hurt. Because it wasn't just, like I said, it wasn't just the death of a character. That death signified it's going to happen to everyone else you know and love and you've grown to become emotionally attached to. Maine's going to go down his path due to Sigma. South is going to set up her brother and eventually have what's coming to her for Wash down the road, which is even more fucked up that Wash had to put a bullet in a former teammate's, in the head of a former teammate. It's crazy, man. And it's so different. This show is so different than anything that I've seen before. First off, science fiction is like my guilty pleasure. You know, I love science. I'm always fascinated by it. You know, things like this, like I mentioned in the last batch, Mass Effect, big fan of Mass Effect and its lore, its science fiction nature. Red versus Blue is very similar to that. Obviously a subset of Halo, which I'm hoping to get into before Infinite comes out. So the genre kind of fit with everything. The storytelling fit. It's the characters. It's how believable, how real they feel. And the shit that they go through, and me as a viewer kind of inserting myself in their lives. You know, God bless Bernie. God bless him. Like, God fucking bless Bernie. You know? This series has every right to bring up the company and to bring up all the people and everything else that came from it, being Ruby and Genlock and you know, the people that we know and love in the community like Barbara and Miles and Carrie and Michael and Lindsay. This series. And this is ultimately why I got into it in the first place. I knew there was something special here. I knew there was something worth investing in. If a company like Rooster Teeth that got me into it through Ruby, I have to pay my respects. Red versus Blue paved the way for Ruby, so it only made sense. I did not think that it would have turned out this way. I did not think that I'd be weeping for characters who are immortalized a decade plus later. Ageless fucking show, by the way. I'm watching this shit in 2019 and it's timeless. It's timeless. If I didn't know any better, this could have easily been like a series that came out this year and would still be phenomenal. You know, I don't know. It's become a love of my life, and I made a tweet about this as well. And I stand by this too, but I think if Ruby is my heart, then Red versus Blue is my soul. I never want to feel like I have to prove that one is better than the other. You know, I never want to have to be like, all right, guys, after much deliberation, I have come to the definitive conclusion that Red versus Blue is better than Ruby, or Ruby is better than Red versus Blue, right? They mean so much to me equally. And I honestly really feel like a big part of who I am as a person, and I know this is very bold to say because it's Red versus Blue, because I only got into it 3 years ago, but I really feel like this is a big part of me now. Red versus Blue, church, blue team, you know, red team, the director, the AI, you know, Project Freelancer, Recollection, Reconstruction, you know, Chorus Trilogy soon to be. I don't know. it's so surreal to kind of look at my life and to look at how many people especially enjoy this content, you know, enjoy my thoughts, my theories, my speculations, my predictions of this show that has come out years ago, that I feel everything that has been said about this show, everything that can be said about this show has been said about this show. And you know what I mean? Like, there are still people out there who shower me with love, with affection, with support, with everything that a community should, you know, especially with a series that's years old, you know. I have so much to be grateful and thankful for Ruby and for Rooster Teeth and Red versus Blue. Things that I feel like I'll never be able to repay people for, you know, the support more than anything. The fact that a show like this exists, I just want so many people to discover it and to learn more about it. I really wish, you know, and it's going to take a while before I'm there too, but with a show as great like Red versus Blue, I'm just very surprised that it's no longer this flagship series of Rooster Teeth's. You know, Ruby has become that for the company. You know, Monty changed everything. Monty changed everything for Red versus Blue, for Ruby, and for Rooster Teeth as a company, changed everything forever with the series. And, you know, I know Genlock is slowly becoming the next big project for them, that they want to kind of evolve that and have that be their flagship. I don't know. I just hope that Red versus Blue continues to thrive and prosper, especially based on the foundation that's laid for it with the chorus. With Project Free, like with the first 10 seasons of Bernie's work, the chorus trilogy where Miles comes into the fray, the anthology and the Shizno paradox, and whatever else they're gonna do if a season 18 gets announced or anything like that. I don't know. I'm rambling right now. I'm getting caught up in my emotions and the sentiment of it all, but I really love this show. I really love this show, man. I wish more people that I knew, like my friend Zach recently, like he's already on season 13 right now, and he's coming over later today, so we're going to be able to talk about it, and I'm so excited because I'm catching up, so he's basically like you guys now. He's like on season 13. He's not going to spoil me, obviously, and I've been telling him about my progress, but he's coming over today so I can just talk to him about this fight and all that, and we can rewatch stuff that I've seen. I know I'm rambling, I am sorry, but that's basically the discussion. Those are all my thoughts. Like I said, it was really kind of just bullet point mentions of what I saw throughout the episode. There wasn't as much to break down or to theorize or to predict on, because most of it was action. Most of it was basically kind of just giving us payoff on what has been leading up this entire time. CT being a traitor, feeding information to the Resistance, rematches of previous moments. I really think I set up a lot of what I was expecting for this batch in my last batch for the discussion of episodes 5 to 7 with the rematch, Sigma's influence, Maine getting his revenge, how the face-off with CT is gonna pan out, and everything else, but I don't know. I love this show to death. I'm thinking about getting a tattoo, actually. My first tattoo, it might be Red versus Blue related. I might get more tattoos too. Might be a bunch of RVB related ones, but that's just like the conviction that I have in my heart for this show, for this series, and like I'm so blessed to know that I know other people who know about this show that I get to hang out with and talk to at RTX and in my Discord and, you know, online and in the comments and everything else like that. I have like friends that I've met through the community that I've met, and it's taken me a while to catch up to their favorite moments and to points that we can kind of talk and engage about with the show and with the series. But I don't know. I love doing these videos. Obviously, it's part of my job of what I like to do and what, you know, and what I get to be passionate about and get excited and amped and, you know, make videos like this where I'm talking hours at a time about something that I love and that I'm passionate about and excited about, you know, for the future of the series especially. But at the same time, you know, I couldn't picture, it's crazy to say, man, but I couldn't picture my life without Rooster Teeth. I couldn't picture it in any way, shape, or form without Ruby and in these last few years without Red versus Blue, it's not necessarily the heart of my channel. Unfortunately, I wasn't around at the time when the show was popping and when everyone and their mother was talking about it and when it was the face of the company and everything like that. But at the same time, I can't wait to finish season 10 just so I can tweet Bernie and just tell him how magnificent this work is to this day. Me being a fan, getting into it for the first time, and then getting to tweet at Miles and mention to him like, "Hey, I'm about to check out the Chorus trilogy where you made your mark on the company." And hopefully you guys will all still be along for the ride and will be patient during my transitions of whenever I'll get into it, whether it's before or after Volume 7 of RWBY. And I don't know, this show is so incredibly special. I want everyone and their mother to watch Red versus Blue now, even though I feel like RVB in the Halo brand is a little irrelevant right now. Hopefully there's a resurgence, especially with Halo coming to Steam and Halo Infinite coming out next year. But with all that said, I'm rambling, so I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you guys very much for listening to me ramble for the last probably 2-3 hours or so, depending on how long this video is after I edit it. But I definitely just want to say thank you guys very much. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know the reaction's probably going to be more engaging because it's like my reaction to everything and my initial thoughts, and there's not really much to extrapolate or talk about. I feel like I just bounced around a lot and just gave obvious mentions to things versus the speculations and the theory crafting like I did in the last couple of batches, but I hope it's understandable. The action speaks for itself. But with that said, I hope you guys enjoy. Hopefully by the time you're watching this, my next reaction batch, which should be episodes 11, 12, and 13, should be up on Patreon. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care.